You're watching Suck Professor. Hello, everybody. It's me, Hank. I'm joined by
James.
James. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Look at us, James. It's June.
Is it already?
It's the start of the presidential campaign. The presidential season kicks off on June 1st.
I got you.
There has been no... Yeah, so it's Sunday morning here, everybody. James is a little confused.
The illusion has been ruined.
James, it's Hollywood. We're Hollywood magic, baby. George Lucas. Come on, motherfucker. We're recording on May 31st, Sunday. But I just told James we're not releasing till the end of the week because I got it busy. But now we're in June. Mm-hmm. Our listeners are in the future. And the presidential season started on June 1st. And it's only 5 months. And so we don't have to deal with 2 years of constant insanity. Isn't that nice?
Sweet.
JK. That would be in a more rational universe, wouldn't it? All right. Horrible way to start. I fucked up. I don't think that's how we want to start. Should we start like this?
I don't think anyone cares.
Okay. Anyway, James and I decided we'd do a podcast show episode, whatever the hell these are, for everybody. We're going to talk about 3 movies that you saw in the title. So we're going to talk about Krull, Lighthouse, and Vast of Night. And there will be spoilers, so, but...
There's a lot of people who are still going to see Krull. So we have to be very careful about that one.
Get in line now, everybody. Get those camping chairs and sit outside the theater for Krull. It's a big, great makeout movie, by the way. When I saw that first time in theaters, I was making out the entire time.
With the Cyclops.
I was lubricating his eyeball. Anyway, welcome to the show, guys. Hope everybody is being safe. I don't know how much more chaos and uprisings there'll be by the end of the week. So this 4 days have passed. But for all we know at this point, the United States is broken apart into several different countries. Frankly, I'd be okay with that, to be honest. But so stay safe out there, guys. Time to reflect too on where the country, how it got to where it is, and where we need to go, just so we can all reduce stress and we can make cool movies and do cool stuff with our computers. That's all the future needs to be. It's just cool shit with computers. What's with all this racism crap? It's fucking stupid. It just keeps everything locked into this crazy old way of doing things that keeps a bunch of people in pain and fucking, god damn it. I said I wasn't going to talk politics, James, but it's not politics. It's human decency.
It's Canada controlling our mind brain waves with their Canada rays.
Canada rays.
I've been following this for many years now. It's finally happening.
Yeah. But, human beings are really amazing animals, man, and we can do amazing stuff with computers. I just want to play great video games and cool movies, and I'd also like to know that people are okay. People deserve to feel okay in the world. And, all right, that's about it. That's not the politics. I do a politics show on my own. It's in the description if you guys want to hear that. If you're, it's lefty stuff. It's real lefty, because it's also known as correct.
Ooh, I just got an idea.
What?
You know that rehabilitation center for in Westworld season 3?
No.
Where they're all in the little boxes because they're the ones who can't be predicted?
Yes.
Why not just put all the racists in something like that and let them do their racist things in VR to each other? No. Like they go into VR and then VR one person suddenly you're not white anymore, you're a different dude. Yeah. This guy's coming after you. Get a little taste.
Sure. We could call it the White House. Yeah.
That would actually be a great experience.
Where the racists have congregated. But this country was fine.
And then we can use Elon Musk to shoot them all to the moon. Yes.
Or the incredible brilliance of all his workers, I would suggest, are the ones who really deserve the credit. That guy didn't even start that fucking company. So
it was Walter White.
Elon, let's send stuff into space, Elon. That's my
sound like my mother.
Your mom needs to quit smoking, dude.
Oh yeah. Going on 50 years.
Okay, so all right. Anyway, world is changing, and we should try to change it for the better. I think that's a statement everybody can agree on. All right, James, we're talking Vast of Night.
Yes.
Yes. So then we'll do Lighthouse. No, we'll save Lighthouse for the end because I think that's the one that's going to get us fired up more than anything else. And then Krull in the middle. So okay. Vast of Night, I had not heard of this movie, and I bet most of our listeners, viewers, have not heard of it either.
Right.
So you're going to fill in some of these details.
Okay.
You just go, hey, somebody said to watch this sci-fi movie or whatever.
Well, yeah, every Friday at work, I'm still working from home like most other people are still doing.
Yep.
And we do this happy hour on Fridays where we get together and we're all sitting in these little tiny boxes on our screen, being miserable, drinking alcoholic beverages, trying to think, please let this end now. This is terrible.
Yeah.
But a coworker I haven't really spoken to very much got into a conversation, found out we're both huge horror movie buffs, and we basically bored everyone else to the point where they just left, and it was just the two of us talking horror movies the whole time.
Okay.
And he recommended that he didn't recommend, so to speak. He said he was going to watch this, that his wife saw it on Amazon Prime, and it looked interesting, and he was going to check it out because it had like this drama, suspense, sci-fi flair to it. Nice. So I figured, why not? I was going to watch Event Horizon again, but this was new.
Sure. So spoiler line of demarcation. I just wanted to be clear in case people do. So we're recommending that people watch this, but right now we're about to really break it apart. We're not doing a play-by-play, but I'm going to put a thing on the video of jump ahead to this time. I'm making a mark on my edit, so I'll edit in a little thing to let you know the jump ahead to a certain time if you don't want to get spoiled for this movie, because we really, I think. People should give it a look.
Okay.
Yeah. So Vast of Night, stream it however you can. And starting now, we're going to start spoiling it. Okay?
Sweet.
So I was glad to watch it the way I did. And, you know, my thing with spoilers, like, I love the pure experience of not even... I don't even want to know the title. I don't want to even know what actors or anything in it. I don't even want to know that it takes place in the daylight or the nighttime. It's like the purest, and I'm kind of trying to be ridiculous to prove the point. Like, it's like calculus. It's like finding the limit, like push it, the pure. So this was actually for me one of my most pure ingestations of a movie, because all I knew about it was that you were like, okay, a guy said to watch this, and I was like, yeah, all right, okay, let's try it.
So if I tricked you and played cats instead, would that have had the same effect on you? You'd be like, this is amazing. She's just so jellicle. This is the best thing ever.
I love this porn. This is so wonderful. I really want to watch Cats. I know it's like a crazy freak show. But,
I've seen people who have like gotten drunk or high or something, or rented it to watch it as a joke. And they both came out. I watched 2 videos people do this. They both came out to the review not laughing at having gone through the experience, but angry at it being worse than they could possibly have imagined.
They were traumatized.
Yeah, they were like, this is not something that's so bad it's good. This is so bad I am mad.
So we do it like a heroic dose of psilocybin and watch Cats, and you will never return to the earth. Anyway, we're not. So Vast of Night is about it's a very small, contained story. It clearly there was probably budget limitations. It's a feature film. I wouldn't call it horror. I'd say it's a sci-fi thriller-ish. I mean, do you want to summarize the plot, or do you want to just it's maybe a little bit of? No, let's get to the plot slowly. A little play, like a mild play.
I guess the best starting point is if you lived in or grew up in a very small town, this movie might resonate for you a little bit better.
Okay.
Because where I come from, it's the entire community disappears whenever there's like a football game going on.
You mean concentrates in one spot?
Well, disappears from the places where you would normally expect them to be, at their homes, at the grocery store, things like that. Everybody is at this giant glowing beacon of a field that's right behind my house growing up. Yeah. I never went there because I don't really care about sports. Sue me, sorry. But, it's just what everyone did. People, young, old, what have you, they go there because they have such an emotional investment in these teenage kids running and throwing balls to each other.
Sort of a 50s town. It takes place in like the
weird.
50s. We're introduced to a young man. So it actually opens a little rough. I was not feeling it all that well. Initially, the camera work, the photography was pretty good. I was like, this looks professional. You can kind of tell when it's like someone with their iPhone, which is like what I would do if I made a movie. And I was like, all right. And although the darks of the movie I thought that was a little bit too noisy for me.
A little bit too fast.
Too fast?
Vast.
Oh, Vast. Oh, yeah, it's Vast of Night. Is it called Vast of Night?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And so yeah, we sort of center things, or at least you think it's about this guy, and he's like a young man. He's probably in his early 20s-ish. But he's kind of confident dude. And he's wandering through, and there's a lot of interesting tracking shots in the movie too. We follow him into this gymnasium. He's smoking. Everybody smoked back then too, and
people are talking nonstop.
Yeah, people are constantly talking, and not like background chatter talking, but like he's kind of mumbling because he's got a cigarette in his mouth. And and everybody seems to like him, and he's sort of like a confident, charismatic guy. Which is why I relate to him. You know what I mean?
He was like the Fonz almost. He was walking around, and everyone was happier for having seen him.
Right, but not. Yeah, I would have described that as Scrooge McDuck personally, who makes me happy.
No,
but I don't know why I went with that. There's a reason I went.
I was just thinking about him too.
What?
Yeah,
you too?
Yeah.
Oh, boy, the aliens, those Canadians,
Canadians,
Canadian chemtrails are working. But he's not like the Fonz. He's just like a kind of he does radio DJ. But anyway.
Right. It's sort of like the local celebrity type thing. He's on the radio, therefore he is seen as an elevated public figure.
Yeah, probably.
People resonate to that and they want to be close to him.
Yeah, but he also seems like they're like, hey, someone's looking for you. They want your help. And so like people are like asking about him. And so you're introduced to these characters, and this young girl, like a 14-ish, 15-ish, she comes up, and I couldn't understand half the fucking words they're saying. And so right off the bat, I'm like, I'm just not tracking this movie. Yeah. I don't quite get it, but we stuck through it. Obviously, it wasn't so bad that we were getting ready to turn it off.
I'm glad you said something, because I had just come off a happy hour. I was already drunk, and I thought that I couldn't understand them because I was drunk.
Oh, you're not now drunk. You mean on Friday?
Happy hour was Friday
when we watched it.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant the happy hour this morning. I was like, Jesus, James.
Yeah, my workplace is not that dedicated to alcoholism.
Didn't know you went to church. It's like Sunday around noon, everybody. So, yeah. Anyway, they set this setting, the 50s, this basketball game, very common, I think in rural-ish communities or nascent.
I can confirm it is. Yeah.
Nascent suburban communities too, not necessarily rural per se, but he gets pulled. He has to go do his job at the radio broadcaster. It's like this little booth. It's sort of just a small building with a tiny little antenna. A little bit of it felt like they sort of returned to this motif of the kind of like Fallout 4, the beginning, where they show like the 1950s TV set. And so they use that as kind of an effect to bring the listener's focus into this. I don't know. They did a lot with that.
They framed it as though it was like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, exactly.
They play this weird intro and they highly stylize it, so it has this unique feel to it.
Right. And but they don't stay in that stylization the entire time, which is great. Like it would have been really annoying if they wanted us to watch the whole movie through that like framed, like strangely circular television or whatever. But it did like once they get out into away from the gymnasium, and he and the girl they're like friends, but does he just walk her home or something? He walks her to her house.
She seeks him out, I believe, because she's kind of like an audiophile. She works
at the telephone operator switching board,
and she gets this recording device, which is not common in the 50s whatsoever.
Yeah.
But she has one, and the concept of hearing yourself recorded on magnetic tape and play back is a pretty new technology, and it blows people's minds a little bit.
Yeah.
So he, being the radio guy, is seen as the expert in all things recorded mediums.
Yeah.
So she seeks him out to teach her how to use it best, and he's walking around with her, recording people, doing interviews and things like that.
Yeah, kind of playing interview.
Yeah.
He has confidence with it, and she's pretty like smart though. Like she's like talking about all these different like science fiction theories that she'd heard about.
That actually annoyed me.
Really?
That annoyed the heck out of me.
Why?
Because it's cool when someone predicts something in the future, but when someone lives in the proverbial future as relative to this movie and starts saying things like, well, yeah, in the future they're going to have clamshells they put in their pockets, and they can call people from like radio towers, and you can see them on the phone, and you can do anything. It's like, well, yeah, you know that because
Oh, you mean from the writers of the film?
Yeah, that was just a little.
Okay, so she talks about these different. I think she mentions 3 different like possible future technologies, and the futurists of the past are always like, by 1974, all men will be living on the moon, all women will be living on the sun, and like they're like, that's not quite right.
When I was in
or if they're accurate, they're like, by 1990, people will go to they'll send cameras to Mars. And it's like, well, that was you were a little behind, but things tend to happen a little slower than we think.
Two things were promised to me when I was a child in the 80s.
Right.
And that was by the year 2000, which was like so vast in the future that we couldn't even comprehend it. We would have all sidewalks would be moving sidewalks.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. Can you imagine how bad that would be? What a terrible idea that would be.
Horrible idea. All the shit that gets caught up in that, and the conveyor, like your shoelaces.
And the noise is just like constantly, just like the whole ground vibrating from these sidewalks. Like, shut up!
In the future, all sidewalks will be broken, moving sidewalks.
Yeah,
not
big
moving.
slabs of cracked concrete just rotating around a town.
Just like long conveyor belts that are busted up. That would never fucking happen.
Like dead squirrels just being. It's like, oh, there's that dead squirrel again. It's chasing us. Gotta run.
Yeah. O'Hare has huge moving walkways in under the tarmac because you have to cross underneath the entire airport.
Oh yeah. You never get there on foot within a reasonable time otherwise.
Right. I actually prefer to not. I grew up in Chicago, so I've been through there a bunch. So I prefer to not use the moving walkways unless I'm in a hurry.
I'm the one in the middle trying to see if I can keep pace with the people who are lazy.
You kind of play these,
and I usually beat them.
Of course, yeah. They're not going, and it's fun to walk on them too. To like feel like you're flying. It must be what it's like when Superman has sex. And I was with my mom, and there's a voice warning that goes, the moving walkway is now ending. The moving walkway is now ending. And my mom goes, where's it going? Where is it going to go?
Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh man, you need to go back to your tree, Nell. Jesus Christ. So, what was the second thing you were promised?
The most cliche, boring thing that everyone thought was going to happen in the year 2000 that never did.
Tracy watches?
Yep.
Is that right?
No, flying cars.
Oh, yeah. Another thing. That's an even worse idea than moving walkways, I think. Do you think there ever will be flying cars?
I mean, I cannot, unless there's some new, like, way to bend physics beyond the way that mankind knows of that will propel a car upwards without blasting out like 10 billion leaf blowers.
Yeah.
I can't see it ever happening.
Yeah. And the computer sophistication to manage the traffic and the amount of mass and risk. Because once you start human beings can survive like a 2 or 3 foot fall. I mean, I know we can survive.
Speak for yourself.
But like the physics of death go up real quick. Like once you start like, 5 feet up, you might die. 6 feet, 7, 8, 10 feet, you're dead. 10,
I roll off this couch, I'm dead.
I mean, people fall off like third story buildings and die. Yeah, James, roll off this couch. That's how you've lost all your previous roommates.
Yeah.
You did anyway. Yeah, I think flying cars. So Neil deGrasse Tyson, I heard him once say, people know he's like a physicist. I don't know, he's an astrophysicist, astroscience. He's more of a science communicator. He doesn't actually do the science himself so much, but really intelligent, smart guy. And he said, yeah, we have flying cars. They're called helicopters. Yeah. And they're insanely loud and difficult and complicated and expensive. And like he was like, we have that. It's the physics is just we really know. Adding that third dimension vastly complicates things.
Yeah, he invented the Tyson vacuum cleaner, right?
Yeah, the Tyson vacuum cleaner.
And the bladeless fans.
He did, the bladeless
Tyson
fans. Yeah. I invented the fanless podcast.
That's really good. I like that. It may be fanless, but it does blow.
Yeah, wow, nicely done. So the movie, she's into this technology. So she's like, taking in sciencey information. But you're right. She does do that thing where they made a movie about the past.
She talks about self-driving cars.
Yeah, she mentions that. But like, it did establish her character as someone who's like interested in stuff. But I agree with your assessment about what she said about the phones, because the guy was listening to her and he goes, that thing where people have videos in their hand and they have talking devices, and he goes, that ain't gonna happen. He's like, that's ridiculous. Like the one he dismisses is the one that's taken over the world, which is cell phones.
Then when she started talking about the stock prices of Google and Bing versus, I was like, enough.
Yeah. But that was a small part of the movie. That was more just the character establishing. So she works at the phone switchboard, which for our younger viewers, not that you and I were, this was already well behind our age when I was a kid in the 80s. And they used to just have like a whole bunch of holes on a huge array. And when the phone rang, you had to talk to a human being. First, you had to call the operator, and it was a young person. Usually women did this work, and they would connect to your light with a 1/4-inch plug thing. And they would go, hi, who are you calling? And then you go, I want to talk to Mary Smith. And they go, okay, Mary Smith. And then they would plug in a different thing, manually reroute the signal from their big desk console, kind of Star Trek-ian in a sense, and then you could talk to that person. But that operators, those people, they knew everything that was going on in town.
Right.
And they actually hinted at that a little bit in the movie, but that wasn't like a big part of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, Because when you picked up an old-timey phone, does it connect you directly to the operator, or do you have to like dial 0? Can you dial anything? I think originally you couldn't dial anything. I think it was just like it was like an on or off switch. You pick up the phone, you complete the circuit, boom, you're connected with the operator. Then the operator routes you.
It was either that or just one step.
Does that then mean that there was no such thing as a long distance call at that point in time?
I don't think so. There might have been experimental or limited long distance, but like when I was a kid, we in the 80s, we had to worry about paying for long distance minutes.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like, don't call long distance. That's 40 cents a minute. No, don't do that.
I once got a phone bill for like $4,000. You know why? We signed up for the internet back in the infancy when the internet first became available in our town, and we went with with an ISP.
What year roughly?
Probably like 98 or something, 97. But it was called 3 Bubbas Internet, INNA.net. They don't exist anymore. You can look them up. You can try.
Okay.
I'm not doxing myself because you're not going to find it.
Yeah, whatever.
And I'm not there anymore, so whatever.
Yeah,
not that anyone cares.
It's over 20 years ago.
Yeah, but at some point, and I don't know how this happened, for the first couple months, everything was fine. Phone bills coming through fine. We got a separate line just for the internet because we were tired of my sister, who was a teenager at the time, constantly calling and disconnecting me and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they changed some like zoning regulation or something, and suddenly 1 month, that phone call that I would make to connect to the internet was suddenly magically now a long distance phone call.
I see.
And I was on the internet as long as I could potentially be, because it was such a new, enthralling experience that we got a phone bill one time, and I remember my mom screaming, "Shut it off! Shut it off!" And she was running through the room with a phone bill. And eventually we called the people and said, this is bullcrap. You can't do this to us. And they were like, "Okay, fine, sure, we'll cancel it."
Oh, they canceled all of it?
Yeah, we didn't pay it.
That's great. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, that's funny. That long distance thing, I think that died off around the late 90s, kind of like it was a thing for quite a while. Yeah. And you started to be able to like get packages where it's like, oh, long distance is included in this. Wow. And now cell phones everything's crazy. So we actually use AOL CDs, and we created a whole bunch of fake accounts using like different family members and stuff. And so we got like a bill for several $100s. My dad called them and somehow like was able to like only pay a small part of it. But wow. AOL in the early days of the 90s, it was fucking like $2 a minute or $2.99. Yeah. Like they were charging by the minute to sit around in chat rooms and try to get people to tell you their age, sex, and location.
Yeah, my sister and I would take those CDs as we got them in the mail, and we would just like hang them from the ceiling so they spin around as decoration, because we didn't have the internet back then. We couldn't use them in any capacity because we had no infrastructure for it.
Oh wow! Yeah.
It was like teasing us with with something that we could never have.
Yeah.
And then many years later, we got it.
Man. Yeah, you guys were pockets of America are someone's always the last to get electricity, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
This was the time that I was like reading magazines that I would buy from the local food line, and reading about these things like ISDN lines and DSL and late future technologies, and I was researching like satellites to find out if that could potentially one day be used.
Are you up there, God? No, it's me, Nextel.
Yeah,
how can I help you?
But yeah, those are the rough days.
I'm older than you by about 4 years, 5 years-ish. And I was on BBSs where we would dial in to local bulletin board systems and get ASCII 2 or ASCII, whatever.
You were in Chicago or in that area, right?
Chicago suburbs. So
I'm in a little farming fishing community in rural Virginia.
Yeah. so there's more available. I remember downloading like porno pictures, and you'd sit there for like 15 minutes while a fucking thing, the vagina's at the bottom, Fuck.
You wish the loading was from the bottom up.
Yeah, it's loaded from the bottom up.
You should have the option. There'd be a great politician. Like,
I will make sure the vaginas appear first.
Or all women must stand on their heads.
But like a picture that would like appear instantly on your phone now. But anyway, those early days of internet and technology are also fascinating. See, this is our show. I mean, our regular listeners probably know that we just get distracted and talk about stuff. But
we're on a show.
Yeah, it's a show. Sure, we're doing a show. T1 lines were a thing.
My God, I wanted one so bad.
So my brother went to college a year ahead of me, and me and my friend went to visit him. And he went to a university that had T1 lines in all the dorm rooms. And this was like late 90s. Mm-hmm. So we're talking fucking like massive difference from our T1's about as. Do we have a T1 now? And are we faster than T1 now?
I don't even know what it means. I would be shocked if what we have is not ridiculously above a T1.
I would think so, yeah. So, but anyway, so they had T1 lines in the dorm rooms, and my friend and I were like Actually, I think it probably was a porn video because I mean, well, we're fucking 17 years old, and but we're looking at no, it wasn't. I don't know. Anyway, we're getting these like little videos, like rm.rms, like
real media,
real player, real media, something like that. And there was like one file was I'm just making up numbers. It was like 200K, and another one was like 1.8 megabytes or something. And we're like, oh, that one's too big. We got to do this. And my brother goes, no, hit the big one. And we're like, what? What? He goes, T1. And then when that one downloaded, I felt like the guy in that commercial where the TV blasts his hair backwards and the lamp flies backwards. That was a fucking revelatory spiritual experience for me to see this file, the pips or the scroll bar fill up. And me and my friend were like, oh my God.
Yeah. What people might not know is that in the infancy of the internet, when you try to download something, you would go from like 0.000 kilobytes per second to maybe like if you're blazing fast, you might get up to like 1 kilobyte per second.
Yeah. Which
means that trying to download something that was like 30 megs would be just astronomically impossible.
Right.
And say, for example, you did try and be daring enough to even try it. Once your internet kicks off and you get disconnected all the time when you try and dial up to another net, if someone calls you, it disconnects. If the signal, the handshaking process gets interrupted, it disconnects. You get disconnected like once every like half an hour.
Right.
At optimal levels. So once you get disconnected, you don't resume a download.
Yeah.
Once it stops, it's gone. You got to start over from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it took me probably like 2 weeks of like every single night I would go to bed and I would start a download of Netscape Communicator because I wanted I wanted the new browser that had a little lighthouse on.
Yeah.
I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I wanted it so badly.
It's got a unicorn that blinks. That flashes on and off.
And every morning I would wake up like it was the Christmas day and rush to the computer to check to see if it made it through the night without disconnecting. And sometimes it would be there and I'd be like maybe like 8% and then an hour later it would disconnect. Sometimes it would be say, okay, 5 minutes after we went to bed, it disconnected.
Oh, man.
That was always the problem.
Yeah. Jeez.
You couldn't get anything.
My version of that is downloading. I used to download a lot of pirated games and software and stuff. I haven't done that in many years. But
at least 2 years.
No, way more than that. Yeah, but
it's not a thing anymore. At least from my perspective, it's not.
I'm sure it's not for us, but I'm sure it's still a thing. I can't imagine it's not. But using IRC, internet relay chat stuff, or all these other different ways of doing it. But I remember you'd finally find one that would work that wasn't full of viruses or something. And it'd be like 50, 60, 25, whatever, 15 megabyte RAR files. Mm-hmm. And you'd have to sit there and fucking hope that your connection didn't get interrupted. And like, I would spend so much time, and then it would automatically compile the whole thing because it couldn't, it worked like 1 out of 3 times. Yeah. You were able to actually get the full software. All right. So anyway, Vast of Night, we don't need to do play-by-play, but it turns out that so you got this young woman and this guy who's in his 20s or something, and they're like they're the two audio heads in the town, basically, kind of, and so they're listening to the radio, or she hears the radio. She hears a noise. It's like and it's a very peculiar sound. They're not sure what it is. Right. It raises their attention.
Because she's got headphones on all day and she's monitoring signals, and the signal's being picked up on her end.
Yeah, and someone calls in. That was actually really interesting. And by this point in the movie, though, I'm starting to get more invested in it because they're out of that. I can understand what they're saying. There's not constant talking, and at this point, a woman calls her, and she's like, "Oh, there's people," or she's like, "There's something I don't know." Like she's freaking out about something.
It's very garbled, difficult to understand, and the signal is breaking up. We know she's in distress, but we don't really know why.
Yeah, and she refers to something. The wind is going crazy or whatever. Mm-hmm. So then I don't know. I know I say I'm not doing a play-by-play, and I keep doing it. But then, so she and the did he even have a name? I don't even know. The radio guy
he did. It was like not Evans or
TJ.
No.
Oh, Everett.
Everett, thank you. I knew it was an E name, yes.
Yeah. TJ the DJ.
Yeah.
Everett, what was her name?
Belinda. Don't look it up. Just trust us. It was Belinda.
Oh, Belinda's fine.
No, I have no idea.
Well, they weren't. Yeah. Anyway, so she tells him about the noise, and he uses his radio, which is probably only has a radius. It's probably not it's not like a giant 50,000 watt broadcasting tower, but he's like, okay, we're going to put this on the air. because she had a recording of it, and we're going to put this on the air and ask anybody listening if they've heard it, and we can maybe figure out what it is. So he does that and then plays a song, because DJs just sort of, they played music, but they talk between music. I guess that's pretty duh. But someone calls in, and it's an older man, and he's got a story to tell. And the movie takes... You're starting to get the feeling that you're in the hands of a really capable filmmaker, is what I was feeling during this. And the conversation he has, or, he tells the guy, like, listen, I'm going to put you on the air, but I got to make sure, there's no swearing. And, he has to give him this, like, little spiel because it's all live.
Because it's not common to do that. He doesn't have authorization to do that. This may cost him his job, and he's putting himself at great risk. But he feels like there's a great story to be told. And one thing I wanted to ask you about. Go ahead. Did you notice that they were trying to emphasize the power of the story over anything else? Because at long portions during the telling of the story, which is a solid shot on the guy listening, and at some points it was just a black screen. Yeah, of course I noticed that. Yeah, and I was just going to say, like, one thing that Everett would say, and I think he said it twice in the movie, was like, I'm paraphrasing, but like, I'm taking a risk. This could get me in trouble, but it's good radio. This is good radio. Like, this is good storytelling. And so, yes, that story. So this guy tells him the story, and the way they chose to go black screen for, like, it's hard to tell what time, but like black screen for more than 4 seconds is an eternity. And it was like 30 seconds, 40, 50, maybe even a minute or two. It put us in the shoes of the listeners. Yeah. They didn't have that.
It was really cool.
Like, they didn't have video.
I was imagining like movie executives being like, I think this is the wrong file. There's black screen here in this whole sequence. He's like, no, that's on purpose. So all you hear is just this man talking, and he's telling a compelling story about being hired to work when he was in the military as a young man, and he was sent to the desert where he was part of a crew that did some work, and how the government would like split the work up to different groups of people, and that they also used, this was really interesting, and the movie does not become about race, but the way he talks about, like, well, I'm black. And they only had black and Mexican people and people who aren't white to do it.
He doesn't reveal that, though, because at the time in the 50s, if someone thought that someone was black, they wouldn't give them any credence.
Or even put them on the air. Yeah.
Yeah, they would completely ignore. They'd shut it off and say, how dare you? Or this person is not credible.
Know your place. Yeah. And so he said, and that's because they knew no one would listen to us. Yeah. And even, there's even a moment, and the young guy is cool, but he's like, where they talk about that a little bit to him, and
he's like, how do I know you're not lying? And the guy is like,
well, not about being black, but about the story.
Well, no, how do you know I'm not lying about the story?
Yeah.
And he goes, because I'm old, and this is classified stuff, but I'm sick, and I'm not going to live forever, so I need to get my story out.
Yeah. So he describes about how he saw some stuff and heard this thing, and there's another. So that goes out in the air. Anyway, I don't want. Okay, fine. They wind up hearing from another caller who is an old woman, and she also has a story to tell. So he and the young woman, Belinda, I almost called her Billy Baldwin. That's
actually probably a better, closer guess than mine.
Billy Baldwin. Belinda and him grab the recording device, like and they go to her to like document it. And the guy kind of has reporter instincts. He's sort of like. They even talk a little bit like how he might like move on to a bigger market, and like this could help him get to a bigger place because he's kind of ambitious in his radio career. And he's like, "Well, this is a great story. We got to go talk to her." And so they talk to her, and
before they even talk to her, you can tell it's really kind of a small town because she says, "I can't walk anymore. I'm kind of old." The key is under the flower pot. Yeah. So they go up there and they find the key and they walk into this like super dark, quiet house.
She's like, I won't be at the door, but I'll be inside.
Yeah, that part was kind of creepy.
That was really creepy. Yeah, I'd feel real weird going in someone's house. I mean, you scream when you walk in. You go, "Hello, it's me. I'm not here to rob you. I'm Hank."
But if there is a murderer waiting in there, they're not going to answer you.
If there's what?
If there's a murderer waiting for you, they're not going to say, "It's okay, just keep coming.
I'm in here." Yeah, come in to me, Hank. And there was. Let's talk about that tracking shot, because I think that happened between the two big interview.
Right. It showed the universe that we were existing in.
So the camera leaves the radio studio. It's a strong word for it, but it's a little radio building. Booth.
Well, no, it ends at the radio.
But I thought it did a whole full circle. Well, I don't know where it started. Maybe it started from the phone switching.
I think it starts at the phone switch.
Okay. So anyway, this tracking shot leaves and then really smoothly travels through all the town, kind of like all these backyards and different things, and you see tracking shots and lots of stuff, and it's pretty cool. But this one was very like just well made and well built, and we were like talking about like how do you think they did that? And I was kind of joking about being a golf cart or a bicycle or something, but I'm sure they had some sort of stabilizing.
But it does like go through a window and then go through the gymnasium where everything is lit up and bright, and the basketball game's going on, everyone's there, and then boom, out the window again, we're back into the silence of the darkness of the night.
Yeah, it goes upstairs, goes out a window, drops down, and then keeps traveling around. And like, so there's a really competent filmmaker behind this, and apparently it's like a new director. It's like some younger up and comer person, and that was just compelling. So it's just a good movie. And they go to the woman's house, and she's got this story about a child of hers, and she's saying these crazy words. She's sort of like repeating kind of like an incantation type of thing. Not really sure what the hell. They don't explain too much. That's one thing I liked about the movie, is that they don't really let you have all the information. It's not like Transformers.
Right.
And she tells a story, I mean, we're already well into spoiler territory, obviously. So she tells a story about like having this young boy, and at 10 months old, the kid, or what were the circumstances of the kid's pregnancy? She was born the kid was, she fell in love and got pregnant out of wedlock. Is that the term when you're not married?
Yes.
And the community shamed her, and she was like basically forced to raise and have this child by herself, and she was disowned, and that's brutal, fucking savage ancient thinking of the fucking idiot ancestors of the 50s. People. Exactly. And anyway, so she had this kid, and it was a struggle, but she had this child, and she loved him. But at like 10 months old, the kid started like saying those words. Like he like ramped up his he was making noises, and then all of a sudden he started speaking or something like that. But it was done in a very like, they just let her tell the story. They just let the actor work, and she was good, and she just told a story, not in a dramatic way, but you could feel like, I just thought the writing was good, and the acting was excellent, and the camera, like, they just they mostly leave the camera on her from one angle most of the time. There is a cut to her directly forward. I like when directors make what are very clearly deliberate choices in that. Anyway, so it turns out that the kid had a couple incidents as a child where the wind got crazy, and there was that noise, because she recognized the noise and had more to say about the story because she heard it on the radio. And so the end of that is that the kid goes out at night. I got the sense it was a difficult childhood. I mean, because he was a troubled child of some kind of influence. Who knows? Or maybe I'm wrong about how difficult the whole childhood was. But she was concerned about this kid because there was something weird going on. And at around 9 or 10 years old, he goes outside at night at one point and disappears. So she says did she say she saw him vanish or saw him disappear? I don't
recall that part, but
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So she lost the kid, and she was investigated, and like, had to live with the shame of your kid went away, or like something like your kid, So that screws you up too.
Those woods were very heavily infested with dingoes, though.
Yeah. A dingo ate my child.
Yes, dingo ate my.
A dingo ate my offspring.
Yes.
So. You have anything you want to throw in on that? So,
just not until we get to the very end, because the next beat of the story is probably the more interesting one, and you've covered everything.
Isn't the next beat basically the end, or am I missing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, you started then.
Oh, well, essentially what it is, the original caller that called him to the station did so because he could recognize the signal that was being played. So that was basically point one. The second one was that the old woman called in saying that she had knowledge of the same sound and a backstory that could fit into what they were talking about, which was the weird phrase that she was repeating over and over. And through this, it came to light that there was a third man who received tapes from the original man.
Oh, yeah.
And they had to go and break into a library because he was long since deceased. And all of his recordings were kept in the archive of the library. So they break into the library, steal the tapes, find the tape that replicates the sound that is being broadcast, and they attempt to replay it along with the sounds of the woman reciting the incantation to see if they can get a response from this thing whose source they believe is right above them. So they think there is something in the sky that is projecting the signal.
People in the sky is a phrase.
And it gets to the point where people witness and see something in the sky, and people start panicking. The whole the telephone lines blow up, and she's rushing back. She's the only one on duty, so she's trying to connect people frantically.
Yeah.
And then they basically decide to go out and see if they can make contact.
Right. Yeah. And the woman, yes, the guy who called first, the first big interview, said that he's the source of why they knew there were tapes. And it turned out that the tapes were in archive. Did you already say this? They were
archived in the library.
Archived in the basement of the library. So the power goes out. The young girl goes and gets I was thinking, shit, don't go fucking raiding the basement of the library at night when the aliens are flying around above your fucking town. This is a horror movie. What are you doing? But she gets in and gets out. I was like worried. I was afraid that this is just going to turn into like a not campy, but like just a kind of standard horror jump scares and bullshit. And, maybe they show a fucking tail or something. They do notice, though, that the spots where they suspect that the sky people have had interactions with the Earth, everything is charred and burnt. Yeah. Yeah. They find a thing in the wood. Yeah, that's right. But the scene where they're listening to the tapes, because they have a pile of tapes they're trying to listen through to see if one of them is the sound. And that was interesting with the guy. He's loading the magnetic tapes on there.
And you got to twist them around and feed them through the right mechanisms and stuff. He's doing it at a great speed, but it still takes some time.
I was like, yes, exactly. So it's the reel-to-reel tape and like 4 or 5 different bended connections that you have to thread it through these roller wheels and onto the reader sensor thing and back into the receiving end. And I was really kind of wishing I was like with children watching that. Which is a rare feeling during a movie I don't often have.
You mean you wish you were pregnant with
I wish child? I was with child. Your baby, James. Put a baby in me. No. I've always wanted to make a t-shirt for pregnant women that says I'm with stupid and there's no arrow.
Oh. This would be like a 3D arrow pointing inward.
Yeah, tesseractive arrows. But what I mean though is like I wanted to kind of like experience that scene with a kid who only knows touch screens and instant gratification technology, where it's like, no, if you wanted to play a audio file, you had to thread it through this fucking machine. And this guy's good at it. And I was just also curious, like, how much did the actor have to practice that? Because he was real fluid. He was, and they're going through like 6, 7 of them, and they finally get the sound. And the old woman makes a request at the end. The old woman makes a request at the end of her story that she wants to be brought with. She wants to see her son. She's like, bring me to the spaceship. And they like leave her alone. They're like, nah. He's like, I don't. Because at this point, he doesn't know what's up there or what it is, and he's not going to just drag some old lady around with him for the rest of the night. Actually, I think him leaving was like the right. I would have been like, okay, because they're like, she's probably crazy.
She can't walk either.
Yeah, like now you just have this, octogenarian that, what are you going to do? Drag her around in her lazy boy. But there was who said to play the tape? Was it the first guy? The caller?
I think it was.
So they've got the tape. Yeah, because he's the one that had said that if you play the tape, or you should play it for people around you or something like that. But they're in the car then, right? Remember the scene in the car? This scene I thought was really cool. So they find some friends. They know a bunch of people in town, and they steal
the car for one thing.
Oh, they steal a car?
Yeah. Oh. She steals a bike, and then he picks her up in a car that he stole.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's like small town stealing, though. It's like they probably know, like, oh, sorry, Miss Jenkins, I needed your car. Yeah. I don't think it didn't come off like they're like Grand Theft Autoing stuff. Anyway, he's in the back seat. He and Billy Baldwin are in the back seat, and the 2 friends are in the front, and he starts playing the tape just to sort of see if it works mainly, but kind of, and the 2 friends in the front seat, Did you see that where they start arching their necks back slowly?
Oh yeah, they had to basically roll out of the car because they were going to crash into an oncoming vehicle because they were completely zoned out.
Yeah, they were like tuning out, but it was so creepy how they just both started like lifting their heads up slowly. That was what I thought that choice to do that was really cool.
As they were running out of the backseat of the car, the driver and the woman in the front were saying, "I'm so sorry, get back in," because they didn't know what happened to them.
Yeah. So something about that, and I think it's not certain if that sound from the tape is what caused it, or if the people in the sky picked up on that and were like, okay, now there's something going on in that car. Like the concentration of the sound made them, I don't know. So who knows? So they end up in the woods, right? And that's where they see the charred spot, and like the trees are burned and still smoldering a little bit. So something's going on there. we're not seeing much of this. It's very Jaws-ish. Like
they even look in the sky and say, "There they are," but there's nothing on our screen that we can. We can't see anything.
Yeah, that's right. There's that weird. Yeah, there was that one shot, and they end up in a field, and they see. We did pretty much do a play-by-play. They see an object finally, like, and they show the viewer. We finally get to see kind of a standard spaceship. I mean, it's sort of
circular, cool, but it's got depth to it. It's not like not like a dinner plate. It comes down and has multiple layers.
Yes, like something you'd see in pretty standard. Not nothing like crazy innovative or whatever. But that was fine too. It's like they didn't have to make it all jagged and sharp or something like that. So. There's another like little drone thing flies out of it.
I saw that thing.
That was pretty cool. Yeah. There was that part, and they're just kind of looking up, and they don't, and it moves over them, and he and the young woman, they kind of just like hug. They sort of just grab each other and get real close, and that's like the end of the movie. And,
well, the last shot is, I think one of the last shots is the radio recording device that she had.
Oh yeah,
being like almost halfway buried in ashes. So it makes it seem as though, because they had that in their hand, that they were incinerated and turned to ash.
Or could be that,
but we don't know.
Or that's just part of like the beaming you up process.
It could be that too. It's impossible to know.
Yeah, you don't know. So they don't show that. They don't show what's. I was thinking like I really want to see what's in the spaceship. I want to I hope there's like another 20 minutes of them running around inside a spaceship. That's always kind of cool. Fire in the sky, for example, and the guy wakes up and all that jelly, and it's like, well, that's one of the freakiest fucking movies. My God. Yeah. And dude. They didn't, and you're a little disappointed. You're like, but it's that leave them wanting more feeling too. It's like, ooh, you're playing hard to get, are you? Yeah. Well, I'll do a podcast about your movie and promote it on my YouTube channel, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, we knew it was a low budget movie, so we really shouldn't have expected much more.
Sure.
In terms of like the interior of a spaceship and all that, but it would have been cool.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know. So overall, though. Compelling, like one way I can tell if a movie works for me, or this also works for shitty movies, really shitty movies, is if I'm thinking about it hours later or thinking about it the next day. And I've been thinking about this movie for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I think it was a winner.
I'm like, this is a good movie. It's nice to see a good movie.
It's not even a complete story. It's just a very small slice of life, small town story with a compelling hook and a really interesting. I mean, if you were to tell someone, "Oh, I'm going to write a movie. It's going to be about a guy with who's on the radio who gets abducted by an alien," you'd be like, "Okay, well, that's not unique at all.
Right?
That's been done a billion times before. How are you going to make yours unique?" And the way they told this one, just the story itself wasn't unique, but the way they told it was.
Yes, and the way it interfaces, the way the presence of these sky people, aliens, the way they interface with the technology that's available to the people on the ground is a big part of the story too. Yeah. Partially why they set up the young woman. That's good writing to both when she's talking about all the different future stuff that she's like reading about and telling the guy, kind of excitedly telling him about it. That's establishing character and advancing and contributing to like plot and contributing to the overall motif of the part of one of the motifs of the movie. I use the word motif. What an asshole. And so just smart, good movie making. And one thing I also think about, like, I never felt lost other than the beginning, which was a little disorienting. I thought that was but I was like, I get who these characters are. I understand what they're saying. I understand why they're doing what they're like. I'm with them. I know why they're doing stuff. There's not superfluous scenes that don't really contribute to plot or character. So any thoughts you'd like to add?
No, I think it was a uniquely done movie, and if the guy makes more stuff, I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see it.
Or if the woman makes more, I don't know who directed it.
Yeah. Oh, you said guy.
But to me, guy means the guy doesn't have a gender implication.
I know. Could have been.
I'll yell, "Hey, you guys!" to a whole room full of people, and I won't. Yeah. Gender's not a construct of that.
Right. I we don't need this. It's fine.
But some people think it is, but I don't.
Well, I understand why people have it is true that there's a default notion that when you talk about a person, you're probably talking about a man and him and he, but we're not.
I've called women dude before.
My point is, I'm okay with that changing. It's good that it's changing. Fine. Right. We'll be fine. We'll be fine if more people feel included in the world, the way the world represents itself. No problem. Great. What did you think it got on Rotten Tomatoes?
I was going to look, but then I didn't because you said not to.
I told you not to.
If I had to give a guess, I'd say probably an 86.
4%. No. It was 92.
Okay.
Yeah. So, which I was glad to see. I hate it when a movie you really like and then it's like 20%. I'm like, what?
Oh, I hate it more so when a movie I really hate and then it gets a huge rating.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Fucking Lighthouse, probably.
Yeah, Lighthouse did get a big one. Invisible Man, which was the worst movie I've seen in probably 10 years, got almost a perfect score.
You hating movies is entertaining because you really take it personally or something.
It's so frustrating to see garbage get praised.
Right. Okay, we're done talking about the movie Fast of Night. Mm-hmm. So anybody who skipped ahead, welcome. We're talking about Krull. Then we're going to talk about The Lighthouse. So James and I decided to watch Krull, Krull, which stands for, James, it's an acronym. Go ahead. You tell everybody what it stands for.
Klingons really ugly looky look. I don't know.
No? Dumbass. It stands for Kraken, Release, Up with People, lol.
Okay.
Those are going to be annoying graphics to make. So, James, Krull, we watched it. First, some basics. When did it come out? Your guess was?
I'm going to guess 1982.
Incorrect. 1983.
That's the year I was born. Yeah. Why did this unholy thing come into the world at the same time I did?
Oh, I thought you were going to say at the same time as Krull.
Oh, yeah. I like that better.
Yeah, come on. You're supposed to hate yourself. Make it funny. I'm trying to build a whole fucking career around that. So, directed by Peter Yates, written by Stanford Sherman, the old double S. Follows a journey of Prince Colwyn and his group of outlaws on the planet Krull to save future Queen Princess Lissa from the Beast. The Beast is capitalized. And is constantly teleporting Black Fortress. Mm-hmm. All right, so I had very positive memories of this movie as a child. I saw it. I was born in 79. No, not bragging or anything, but Jimmy Carter, what? And so I'd seen the movie, obviously as a kid, and I had very vague memories of it. Just kind of a positive feeling for the movie, that memory, kind of like mostly just the emotion. And I recalled the weapon. Mm-hmm. Krull. Anyway, watching the movie again, I've done this with like Never Ending Story, where as a child I was fucking enamored. I loved that movie. It was such a good movie. And I finally watched it, in my 30s or something, where, started to, and I was like, oh my God, I was a fucking idiot kid. This is horrible. This is so weird. Why am I watching it? Anyway, it's fine. It's actually okay.
What was Krull? Was Krull the name of the weapon?
I guess it was the planet. I just
learned
the whole
that. Planet?
Yeah. It's very, okay. So this guy, rewatching it now, I actually didn't hate it as much as I hated the Neverending Story. In fact, I wouldn't even say I hated it. This was more just an interesting thing to like re-experience and watch from a whole different perspective. The opening setup, which I don't remember right now,
was the castle flying through space and this big long tracking shot of this wooden looking vessel.
Yeah, this kind of or rocky kind of outcropping, like if the Prudential logo became a spaceship.
Yes.
Very big reference. But that's right. So I was saying, I actually kind of like the world building that they were doing up until they're like, and then there was a princess, and will she become the princess who she is destined to become? Like, why don't you just stick with the cool spaceship thing? That's a fucking castle that teleports.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you
don't have to do the fucking king and queen spaceship princess bullshit.
Yeah, you don't see how long the castle has been on the ground. We don't necessarily see that there's an army that comes out of it, that there's a beast inside of it, that it is the source of antagonism between all the kingdoms, and the kingdoms are trying to unite to fight this common enemy, which is why the prince wants to marry the princess, but the king doesn't want it to happen. Yeah. That whole point, and it gets back to the point I made originally, is that I hated the new Star Wars movies with Rey in it. She was likable, but she was too good at everything. She had no flaws. Mm-hmm. She was always there to save the day with whatever skill was required, pulling right out of her butt whenever she needed it. This hero of this movie has exactly the same problem, with one key difference. He is not in any way likable.
Right. He is kind of a Kurt Russell clone, sort of a super handsome guy. They showed a lot of chest. This is a very porny movie, too. Kind of like the opening, like the before the sex scene. Cheesy sets, 80s tight quality kind of, but you could tell they're going for a big epic scope. You could tell they're really reaching, which I give them credit for that. But yeah, the main guy is like just too handsome by a third and kind of annoying.
And he wears tights.
Yeah, and he wears Lululemons.
and he's
not that I hate him because he's good looking, but he's such a cliche. He's such like a standard He-Man archetype type character.
The thing that I love though is that his castle gets attacked in the beginning and everyone is killed except for him. He's not even scathed in any sense of the word. And yet the whole time he's fighting, he's just like jumping back and swinging a sword wildly as though like a 5-year-old would do if you handed him a sword for the first time. Right. And yet he's supposed to be the greatest swordsman in the kingdom.
Ken Marshall is the actor's name, as Prince Colwyn. Right. So it's very swashbuckly, like the Errol Flynn days and the early days of sort of that.
And he doesn't seem to have any skill, yet he's so confident.
Right. Yeah. Well, but as long as the bad guys die, that's all the competence you need.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
They're told to by the stunt choreographer.
Yeah, and they turn into like these weird like leeches or something that fly out of the helmet and just shoot down into the soil.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, they only do it twice. Yeah, I think it was the same shot both times. They probably just reused it.
Well, that leech thing, it went off and it auditioned for Alien. That's how it got the job, is the stomach bursting. Although that Alien came out before '83, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So Krull. So this menace. It kidnaps. No, does it kidnap the woman? I don't remember anything.
Yeah, they ride off with the princess.
Okay,
so the only two survivors is the princess and the prince, who, by virtue of his great miraculous sword fighting skills, does not die.
Does not die.
They leave because they got what they wanted.
It would be kind of cool if he gets wounded and then like the movie is just him slowly dying of sepsis.
Yeah, it's almost like when did Princess Bride come out?
I don't know.
Because it seemed like this movie wanted to have elements of Princess Bride in it, but they couldn't even accomplish it as well as...
Yeah, this was like a Frankenstein movie of different genres and tropes, and like some of them it worked okay. Like I thought that Lisette Anthony is the actor who plays Princess Lissa. Wow, they just found someone named Lisette for Lissa. Who knew? In order to go rescue, they have to find out where the thing is going to reappear, because it shows up somewhere new every morning at 6 a.m. It's
Imagine if the White House did that.
It's like Groundhog Day. Yeah, the White House. Shit, the White House is in my lake.
It just crushed a preschool.
Yeah. So they, an old man that they run into who's kind of like a Obi-Wan Kenobi type wizard something or other, decides he's going to help him find... He's like close by, but he notices that there's shit going down, so he comes out of his hiding to help out. And he's like, I'm going to help you find the thing. I know somebody. Right? And
then he says, I know where there is a weapon that you will need in order to defeat the beast.
Oh, yeah. So they got to go get the weapon, and meanwhile they're kind of assembling an ensemble cast, a little bit like Ocean's 11, where it's like the fixer, the bank robber. Well, that would be just one. You just only need that one guy. If one guy could do that job.
Yes, we need to rob a bank. Let's get the bank robber.
The bank robber. This guy orders lunch. This guy's the guy who schedules movies. This is the bank robber. He's the one that does all that. But they have to, so they're starting to gather up their buddies who they meet along the way. So this merry band of outlaws.
But they get the weapon before that.
Oh, they do? Oh, yeah. Okay. So they go up to get a weapon. He's got to climb a pretty steep cliff. I thought that was pretty cool.
It looks real, too. It looks as though this guy was hired as a rock climber, pretending to be an actor, as opposed to an actor learning how to rock climb.
Yeah, it could be. Kind of like Armageddon.
Yeah.
I think they did do some... there's a lot of practical effects in those days, because the digital effects are so horrible.
And it wasn't a stunt double; it was the same. It was seemed like it.
Yeah. So he gets up to this crevice and he finds it, and it's a pool or something. It's some sort of Star Trek.
But the guy tells him, he says, "Well, what if?" He says something like, "Don't come back if you don't find it," or "I won't come back until I find it." And he says, "Well, if you don't find it, you won't come back, because you won't survive if you're not the chosen one, basically."
Yeah. Right.
And yet this guy, this airhead who has no concept of nobility or self-sacrifice or humbleness, if that's even a word, goes charging off because he believes that he is the chosen one.
Sure. Well, if you're the chosen one, you know, confidence.
So he goes into this like volcano.
Yeah, like a bubbling pool up in the top of like a cliff, though, kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's like lava everywhere and like bubbling hot liquid.
Yeah. Sort of like the Sword in the Stone, but it's more like the five-bladed Chinese star in a pool of boiling something.
So he walks in with no inkling as to what he's looking for or why he's there, only knowing that there's a weapon of ancient means in there. And he sees this like weird crusty star, blackened thing under the lava. He's like, well, I'm just going to reach my hand in there and pull it out. So he does, pulls it out and holds it up. Triumphant music plays, and then all the black crumbles off, revealing this golden star-shaped glaive.
Glaive, wow. Is that really what it's called, a glaive?
Yeah,
they call it a glaive, don't they? Greave, what is that?
A greave is a type of armor that's worn down here.
Well,
on your shins.
Shin. Okay, yeah. Really, I thought greave was glove. I'm not arguing with you. I just what's glove?
Pauldrons or your shoulders, gauntlets. Maybe you're thinking gauntlets. Yeah,
I'm thinking of gauntlet. Glaive, huh? So soccer players wear glaives. No, greaves.
Greaves.
They wear greaves. All right, great. You know who else wears greaves? Funeral directors. Mm-hmm. All right, so he gets the weapon. That's not that big of a sequence. I mean, it's not a dominant part of the movie, but it's important. So he gets, then he starts to assemble the ensemble.
He's unscathed. Of course, he's the chosen one. He didn't have to undergo any trials. He didn't have to be tested in any way. He didn't have to face his own insecurities. He just walks in, reaches into the water, and he has it.
Sword in the Stone.
So stupid.
It's his destiny, though. There's a lot of this fate and destiny bullshit that was popular in the 80s.
He didn't learn or change or do anything. He didn't have a journey to get it, which bothered me, but whatever.
Yeah, which is absurd. But the cast of characters are like kind of like a video gamey, though. And actually, I started to enjoy the movie a little more when I decided in my brain that I'm just watching like a video game kind of thing. Like, oh, they've got to get the ranged character. They've got to go to these different levels. I actually think they did a decent job setting up the different environments, like the forest that they were in. And
if you go back and look at the swamp,
the swamp,
it looks like it's a bunch of like paper mache trees in a high school auditorium.
I liked it. I thought high school was a very, very distressing time for me in my life.
Yeah,
that's why it felt so ominous.
I was also stalked by a curious Cyclops all throughout high school. I would look behind me and he'd be staring at me from the lockers, and then poof, he's gone.
Right. So he meets like with a British comedian. That's the silly man who's no, he's not a bard. He's a what do they call it? A polymorph?
Like, they don't call him that in the movie that I recall, but that's my understanding of what that kind of magician who turns himself into other creatures is, a polymorph. Yes.
Yeah, like in a video game, if you can choose that character.
And he's like, he loses control of his abilities once he's in another form, because he comes rocketing past in like a bad special effect and flies into the water and then reverts to human, and that's how they learn about him, and he joins their party.
And he's sassy. He's kind of like a Monty Python character. I don't know the actor, but I don't think he's a Monty Python guy. But
I don't think so. But he's going to leave them because he's like a wizard or a great wizard. He has a name for himself, like something the Magnificent, or and he has this phrase. He says, "I'm short in stature but high in ability."
Yeah,
and all
David
this.
Batley as Ergo the Magnificent.
Yeah. But he decides to come with them because he starts going off in his own way, and he sees the creepy Cyclops in the distance.
That's right. Yeah. So in this assembling the squad sequence, we're about a third of the way into the movie now, or a quarter of the way in, maybe. They keep encountering, or they keep seeing this like creepy Cyclops guy standing in the back, which, like, if you're going to be a creep, you probably want depth perception. Yeah.
Yes. What bothers me too about the Magnificent guy?
Yeah.
He's not that short. He's actually as tall, if not taller, than most people he's with.
He looks like he's over 6 feet.
Yeah, and I think that they wrote the script before they cast him, and it's like, oh, we like him. It's like, oh, but sir, his whole catchphrase is that he's short of stature. Oh, don't worry, no one's going to notice.
Well, maybe they meant like status, like short in being like just lesser. Like, I'm not that important.
Yeah, it just didn't ring true to me coming from someone of his height.
Sure, yeah. And you'd expect magicians to have more situational awareness than that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so they have a few different... Oh, then they meet like a band of outlaws who they like are going to... What was the word? Vagabond?
Vagabonds, yes.
No. Brigands, which we looked up the definition. Brigands are like a gang, like an outlaw gang. Vagabond is just someone who doesn't really have a home and is sort of wandering.
If you've ever played an RPG, you've killed thousands of brigands and vagabonds.
Yeah, exactly. So this crew of brigands and vagabonds decide to join up with them. They like talk them into like teaming up because there would be a reward and they'll save the world and find the princess or some shit. I feel like I'm missing a couple others. It doesn't really matter. So they end up being rescued, or the Cyclops guy intervenes with his big spear. He does spearfishing for carp down at the toxic waste dump.
Yeah,
there's no toxic waste dump in the movie, but he turns out this Cyclops dude is very also kind of like a Ben Kenobi, came down from the hills because he saw shit was going down. And he's there to help in some way.
Right. The brigands join them, though, because they're outlaws. They're running. They're guilty of crimes. They can be brought in, but he is now the king. Therefore, he can pardon them.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So it's sort of like Aragorn and the ghosts in Lord of the Rings Return of the King. You do this for me and I will release you.
Yeah. Or Trump and all his fucking criminals that he works for.
Well, he doesn't ask them to do anything.
Well,
aside from not talking.
He can pardon them, though.
Yeah, just don't say anything.
Yeah, sure. Don't tell him. Keep lying. Anyway, so the crew is getting bigger. They somehow get a young boy to come along with them. Oh, that's right. So they have to go talk to an old man. This really old guy who's like the Oracle.
He is the seer, and he will tell them where the castle is going to be, because the whole thing is they can't raid the castle if they don't know where it's going to be, because it teleports around.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's got a ward, which is the kid.
Yeah.
And Leave It to Beaver was a ward, Ward Cleaver was his father, and he actually calls him a ward. No, Batman used to call Robin a ward. You're my ward. He said stuff like that. What a weird world. And now the crew is together, right? And they're traveling to see the old guy, and they get to him. I mean, there's some fights in there and whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
one of the brigands, by the way, is Liam Neeson.
Yes, that. And Liam Neeson, we'll get to the horse moment later on. And a guy, if the name Robbie Coltrane, now don't reveal it just yet. Does the name Robbie Coltrane mean anything to anybody?
Does to me.
What?
He was the guy who started Soul Train. But it was before they had the budget. It was just the Coltrane.
So we want to make a train of souls. Well, I've got a bunch of coal. Close enough.
Yes.
Robbie Coltrane, many might recognize as Hagrid from the Harry Potter films.
He just had a mustache at this point, though. He let it grow out to eventually become Hagrid.
Yes, exactly.
That was his plan from the beginning.
Precisely. He had to start it at the young age.
But he's a big dude. He plays like this big bruiser type guy.
But this is him when he's like 22 or 20.
He's still a formidable sized dude.
Yeah, large guy. But like basically a teenager. So we see a really young Hagrid, which is kind of interesting. Because we were like, I didn't pick up on it until he spoke. And as soon as he said something, I was like, wait a minute. Both of us were like, wow.
Yeah, it's when he talked to the Cyclops and goes, "You're a wizard, Cyclops." It was like, oh my God, it's him.
As he's eating an owl like an egg roll.
Yeah.
And I knew of him before Hagrid, though, because my dad used to watch. He starred in like a British detective show of some kind. I can't remember the name of it. But so
it's called Oi, My Crumpets.
Oi, who killed this bloody bloke? Why is there a bloody bloke all over me sidewalk? That was the name of the show.
Yes, my favorite people in the world are British people, so I didn't mean anything.
We get a lot of British listeners.
If I could live anywhere in the world, it would be England.
Really?
I'd love it so much.
Yeah.
Never been there, but everything about their culture and their TV shows and their humor, I just love it.
Give me a break. I got a British last name. I've had enough of these fucking people. You've done enough to me, England. No, I'm joking. I do have a British. I think Thompson's British last name. I don't know. But I'm mostly Swedish and German. Americans we're all mutts. What are you? What's your ethnicity? You fucking white.
I don't know. I just my grandparents were really kind of not good people, very racist people, and they would always say,
rural Virginia people from really racist.
I know it's shocking.
Yeah, where?
But they would always say, and I don't say this because I think it's true. I think it's just a total blunt of bullcrap. But what they would tell themselves and tell us is like, we are blue-blooded Americans. We came over on the Mayflower. It's like, no, you didn't. You're not that old. You're old, but come on.
Yeah. Yeah, that is just a strange thing to like reject all ethnicity or whatever.
Yeah, it's like they were so proud of what they thought they were. It's like,
but it's fine to be like, I'm German and Swedish. That's cool.
I hope I'm German and Swedish. That sounds cool.
Well, it's fine. I mean, but it's not like I wouldn't be like, no, I'm American. Like, what are you talking about? Like culturally, I'm American, of course, and there's a lot of that's a major thing to be discussed. An interesting topic. But to like overtly reject it because I've been persuaded by some sort of strange notion of whatever that is it's like, whatever. I don't know. Like, I bet you're Irish. You have an Irish feel to it.
I would love to be
like
Irish.
No, but your roots go back pretty far though. I mean, you do have some pretty country folk that were like, rock farmers in the early days of the Appalachian.
We were dew farmers.
Dew farmers.
Moisture farmers.
And like Uncle Owen and Aunt Edna.
Yep.
Or Bernice. What was her name?
Belinda.
And
Everyone's Belinda.
And Aunt Billy Baldwin. You have no idea? Not even a little bit? You don't know if you're like Irish, Dutch, English, whatever? Obviously some species of
my
white.
family never just cared about that kind of stuff. We never talked about it. We never looked into it. We never discussed it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just like, what are you? It's like, I'm a cracker.
I'm a drunk cracker.
That's all I am. Yeah. It's like, it doesn't, I have, that's the thing. That's why I really kind of envy people who know their roots or who have like cultural things, like people who identify with like a Jewish religion or something like that, where they have this like deep centuries old traditions and throwbacks to things. And I have none of that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You got some. You got, your sister interrupting your downloads when you were a kid on your internet. I did get like a little tape recorder at one time, and I found out that if I held it up against a speaker while she was on the phone with the first cordless phones when they first came out, you could actually record her conversations. I had tapes and tapes and tapes of her conversations. Oh my God.
And she would talk trash about her friends all the time and then have them over. And I was like, why are you being so nice to her? You hate her. And he goes, I don't hate her. It's like, yeah, you do. And I play the tape and she would scream.
Whoa.
I hated her so much. I still do.
I know. Well, it sounds like you have decent reasons for it, but that'd be a crazy movie or scene in a movie. Some kid doing that to his sister. Good for you. Well, fight back.
Be honest. Don't be a two-face.
Yeah, I know, but everybody, we all talk shit about our friends. It's fucking James over here. Just, God. So okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Honestly, whatever the fuck you are, I don't care. You could be Martian.
That'd be cool.
You could be purple. I look at people like, I don't care if you're black, white.
Do you know how long
purple,
it takes
green,
me every
yellow,
morning to
dots?
put this white makeup on?
Like the Joker, like one of the Joker's clowns.
Yep.
So okay, where the fuck are we talking? What are we doing a podcast? What is happening?
Something about Krull.
Krull. So, all right, let's get to the quicksand. So the old man decides to join up with them, with the kids. So the boy and the old man. What he says
is he tries to use his scrying abilities to see the dark castle, but he can't. The beast comes in, his like rubber glove shoots out of the thing, grabs his magic crystal that he uses to see things and smashes it. And he's like, oh, my powers are not good enough here. I must go to the Emerald Chamber or something like that. There, he cannot reach me, and my influence will be able to see him.
Yeah.
So they go into the swamp.
So they head towards, they got to take the old guy to somewhere where the radio signal is stronger.
And he's like shuffling behind them so slowly, and they're walking through what is clearly, like I said, like a high school gymnasium with a bunch of fake trees in the background.
I thought the settings were for this kind of movie. I thought that yes, there were some painted backgrounds and some like the like where they show like the outside of the castle gate or something. But I actually thought some of the settings were different enough, I guess. They missed the target that they were going for in terms of scope and scale, and they failed to explain it all really well. But in part of a way, they did do a job where I did at least. I'm trying to give them credit for some of it because it wasn't a complete garbage movie. It wouldn't have reached the cultural.
Don't be a Krull apologist.
A Krullologist.
Yes.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I felt like it was at least somewhere closer to them achieving one of their goals, sort of. So they end up in a quicksand scenario. And this is something I remembered from the movie.
This scene took about 12 hours, I think.
To take a while.
Because they go across the quicksand like, oh, I must save you. And we were watching an excruciating detail and slowness as they haul each other in a big human chain across the quicksand to get out. And they finally get to the other end and they're like, oh wait, there's a guy who's still stuck, let's go back in. They form the chain again and then go back in,
because he had the bag of their food too or something.
Which the bag miraculously doesn't sink, but he does.
Well, bags don't sink, humans do. And so they go in and quicksand, as I think others have noticed, I thought that quicksand was going to be a big part of life. When you're a kid, you're like, oh, quicksand is a thing. Maybe 80s kids got this.
Yeah.
And it really, I very rarely have to crawl out of quicksand. It only happens every few years for me now. And the whole sequence, though, what are the mechanics of quicksand? I don't even know. I'm sure I could find out what
I've done it in the past.
Quicksand's real or not.
It's real.
It's a real thing?
Yeah.
What is the... Is it like the oatmeal in Beverly, or not Beverly Hills? What's the Golden Child, where there's blood underneath the oatmeal and Eddie Murphy like pokes through the oatmeal? Spoiler alert. But what I'm saying is, like, what's the fluid mechanics? Is it water that's been permeated with sand? Because I know like dirt can act like liquids in certain high kinetic scenarios, like with not landfalls. Yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? Where the mountain gives way and just
landslide.
Landfall. That's when a boat lands.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Your land is falling,
but it becomes fluidic. Like it really, there's so much energy in there that it basically functions as liquid molecules, and that's why they travel really far. And I know there are interesting like kinetic liquids and like different types of fluid combinations or configurations where a certain set of physics operates in a way that might be different than what we would predict. Mm-hmm. But I would think that quicksand would either be like maybe it's just like mud suction, like you get stuck in something that's so dense and your foot can't get out and you just kind of slowly sink in.
I don't know the fluid mechanics of it, but it is the kind of thing where the more you struggle, the faster and easier you sink. You wear yourself out very quickly, and then you just have to give in to the suction of the liquid detritus that has formed the sinkhole.
Yeah. And how far down does it go? But this looked like they like walked on water and then they just started like, it was very liquidy, floaty stuff. And I bet it was some sort of like movie sand, because sand sinks.
Yeah.
That's one of the...
And then in the background, there was a horse going down and the kid screaming Atreyu.
Atreyu! Yeah, never any... Maybe that's why I thought quicksand was going to be a big
quicksand
thing.
Was a big... Like, I think Indiana Jones movies did it too, where he had to use his whip to get out.
Yeah.
Quicksand was a very big part of the 80s.
Right. Yeah. It's probably like a decent effect for a film studio because I imagine it takes you have to build like a pool or some kind of thing. You have to set up some sort of thing. But
you just build a pool, fill it with water, put a big layer of sand in it, and just tell people, act like you're struggling.
Yeah, or fake. Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's a pretty achievable effect. It's not like flames and explosions in space or something. The other thing in the 80s, I think that I predicted that would be part of life was stewardesses. Night Court. You ever watch Night Court?
I know the bald guy from Night Court.
Bull? Yeah. Bull, and he was friends with the old lady. That was kind of a nice pairing. Mm-hmm. But the one of the attorneys, Dan, he was like the Playboy guy, and he'd always have sex with stewardesses. And I remember as a kid, not that I was all jonesed up for banging stewardesses as a 10-year-old, maybe as a 14-year-old I probably was, but I was like, oh man, when you're an adult, you just have sex with stewardesses all the time. It turns out that is not the case.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was taught. I didn't realize that apparently that term is offensive now. You can't say that anymore.
They're called sky waitresses.
Yeah, you can't call them stewardesses anymore.
Flight attendant.
Yeah, which is it's like, when did that happen?
I knew a guy, and he was being funny. He was this old dude. He not on a plane. He would do this at a restaurant. He would go, Nurse, I need more liquor. And he wasn't even being, I don't think, is that sex? But he's just basically saying, I need my medicine, was his joke.
I mean, there's male flight attendants and the male nurses. I mean, I don't think nurse necessarily, I mean, you hear the word nurse, you think of a woman, but that doesn't necessarily mean that has to be the case.
Sure. Yeah. I think it's one of those things that's like, it's the same thing. It's like, I don't quite understand why it's a big deal, but if people who care say, hey, you know what, let's use a different word, I'd be like, you know what? My life is the same whether I say flight attendant or fucking steward. I don't care. Yeah, all right. I just wish Night Court didn't mislead me into thinking that Swedish stewardesses were so easy to get into bed. They're not. You have to speak Swedish.
And I only speak Swedish, apparently, in German.
I am. I'm 40% Swedish.
No, there are very few words which connotate to like gender. I'd say ballerina is probably one of them. Mm-hmm. You never say, Dad, I hate you. I'm going to be a ballerina.
Well, unless you want to make your dad upset. Yeah.
I mean, what do you call a male ballet dancer?
Ballet?
A ballet?
A baller. A baller.
Is there a term? There's got to be a term for it.
Like cigar and cigarette, right?
Right, but
the gender
ballerina, everyone knows ballerina, but what's the dude?
I don't know. Maybe they are ballerinas too.
Are they?
I think ballet dancer, but there's like really famous male ballet.
I know, so you think that I would know the name of them, but I don't know what you call them.
One thing I've always wanted is a nice body, and
I have 3 in the fridge out there.
You have ice bodies. But dancer bodies, male dancer body, oh boy. If I had a son and I wanted him to get every STD in college, I would get him dancing lessons. Get your kid dancing lessons so he can get people pregnant. You know why, James? I know I'm risking territory here by being such a louse about sex and gender, but women love dancing men. If a guy can dance, he's attractive to women.
A lot of dancing
Not all
men
women
don't love women.
Dancing men. but a man that can dance, and I actually have a decent sense of rhythm. And I've been on the dance floor a few times, a wedding here and there, maybe some drunken nights in Chicago, when I was a younger boy. But women really like a guy who can dance, and especially if you have that dancer body, because those are nice. Fucking look at my abs, look at my butt, look at my legs. They're like athletes. They're fucking. It's amazing, and dancing ability is very impressive because what it says is, I won't have a cramp during sex.
Do you think that's like...
I've had cramps during sex, and you just got to jump up and be a fucking idiot for about 2 minutes.
It's like the cruelest joke of the universe. The things that women like most in men are the ones that are held by men who don't like women.
Well, yeah, or also that we've been conditioned to think that that's how it's supposed to be. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with embracing my feminine characteristics, like nurturing and going down on women.
I think it's safe to say that a lot of, that most men don't take care of themselves the way that other people do.
Yeah. You ever go to gay dudes? Gay men are hot. You know why? Because it's fucking hot to be gay.
No, but I give them all the credit in the world for doing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's masculinity to me. Like, just fucking hot hunky gay guy. Fucking great.
Yeah, they're a lot smarter than I am. It's like in terms of having like fashion sense, and not to say that all. I mean, it's kind of a stereotype to say that they all have fashion sense.
Yes, we're generalizing.
I know they don't.
No, I know. That it's and there's a wide range of the types of different gay guys out there.
How bad would it suck to be, a gay guy who didn't have fashion sense?
Well, that's fine. They still get laid easily because they're guys. I've talked about this with gay dudes. And also, they're just like everybody else, by the way. But it just you have this sexual energy. Not that women also have powerful sexual energies as well. That's because guess what? They're all people. People have that, and there's a range. It all functions around in a kind of a distribution system. But yeah, being a gay guy, this is the kind of stuff you're not. But I get why gay guys get hunky and sexy because they get to go to the gym and hang out and be gay and have great bodies and do stuff that's fun with each other. Doesn't work for me. I wish I was gay.
They figured it out.
Huh?
They figured it out.
Yeah, they've got the secret.
Yeah, they win.
If you're a straight dude, you're trained to have all these crazy ass notions of masculinity and how you're supposed to behave, and you're not supposed to cry. Not that they don't tell what gay people. I mean, there's a lot of distorting societal implications and influences on everybody, I would suggest. But yeah, we got to get over some of that nonsense about what masculinity is supposed to be and what it's supposed to mean. That's what I think. I think there's a future version where we don't have to be like, don't cry. It's okay to have feelings and emotions. And if we dealt with those overwhelming feelings and emotions a little earlier in life, people would not have to overcome so much stress and pain because our thresholds for when you can go ask for help is too high. That's how I think. Basically, everybody needs therapy, right?
I'm perfect. No, I agree completely.
Yes, and we're speaking, I hope anybody hearing all these terms that might be triggering, we're speaking with love and acceptance about all of it. I think it's all very interesting. I like the differences among people, and I think they make the flavor. I like different foods. They make human beings are fascinating.
That's where we differ.
Yeah, James will eat the same
Give
stuff.
me a crate of Hot Pockets and I'm good.
I worry about your health so much. You're going to die from malnutrition in your 40s.
That'd be awesome.
Just don't die, James. As I always tell you, it'll ruin my day.
I want to be an ethereal plane astronaut.
What? Like Solaris?
That's where you eat poorly, so poorly that you die and become a ghost.
Oh, a ghost. I see. Okay. All right.
Seek out the spectral Hot Pockets.
The bad guys from Superman that are flying around in those glass plates.
Ooh, Zod and the other guys?
General Zod.
Yeah.
Michael Shannon.
That sounds like a type of chicken. General Zod's chicken.
General Tso's chicken.
There
Maybe
you go.
that's why, yeah. Okay.
How would his be different?
Good times. I don't know. What the hell were we saying?
We got into the swamp in Krull.
Oh, yeah.
The quicksand.
How did the gays... I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
The quicksand... Oh, yeah. Stewardesses and stuff. That's where we were coming in.
Oh, yeah.
So, what a weird show. I don't know why. We're putting this on the internet on purpose.
Yeah.
All right. So they get out of the quicksand. Oh, they do lose one of the red shirts. They get his hand, and then he gets sucked down again.
It's almost like he lets go of the hand, and then he does the dramatic, like, Terminator 2, boom, boom, boom. He just, like, falls down.
Yeah.
you know that wrist movement of him going down was like that's like the number one thing on his resume.
Yeah,
he's like, that's my dramatic death. You come over to his house. To this day, he plays it on VHS for you. Look at this. This is me at my heyday.
That's my hand. That's right.
Yeah, he's like, do you want a picture of me doing it? And then he pulls his
But they
hand.
show his face. I mean, he gets to go, help me.
Yeah.
So they end up getting let's go to get there. We're already over an hour, 20 minutes. The old guy gets killed somehow. I think he turns into a bad guy. He got infected by the evil presence or something. And his eyes go black, and he turns all fucking scary. And he's like, oh yeah, his nails go real long,
just like in Big Trouble from Little China.
Yeah, same kind of. Yeah, that's
Lopan.
That's another one of those. Yeah, Lopan. Yeah, one of those movies that I had mixed results when I started to rewatch it. I didn't get very far.
I loved it as a kid.
I did too. We should watch that. That'd be a good one. Let us know in the comments, guys. You want to hear us talk about Big Trouble in Little China? I bet you that would be a good one. But he kills somebody in their party with his fingernails or something, the old guy, but they kill him. The Cyclops stabs him with the arrow, with the spear.
What happens is he comes out with the long fingernails and kills the actual old man, throws his body into the quicksand. The Cyclops finds the real body in the quicksand and comes charging across to save the rest of them from the fake old man.
Correct. Yes. So the imposter. Yeah. So they lose their seer, though. Now they don't have a radio receptor. But then the other old guy, the first Ben Kenobi, is like, well, there's somebody else we could go talk to. He's like, don't go there. Oh, no. And it turns out to be some spider lady or some spider queen. Or
a woman who's trapped in a cocoon guarded by a large spider.
Yeah. I didn't understand that until they got there, though. I was just like, okay, there's some sort of spider.
Her name was like Lenore or something like that.
Right. So they like, okay, well, we got no choices. We got to save the queen and get the princess and do this. So they go off on another direction to find the spider house, and they get there, and it's just a big room with a bunch of webbing. And I was like, just get a broom, just start swinging a broom around. What else you got to do? Then you pull off that gross pile of spider shit off the broom handles. Cleaning a broom is annoying. Vacuum the broom, everybody. Put the broom on the ground and roll it with a vacuum.
Was there anything about the whole scene that annoyed you at all?
That the spider was obviously not 18 feet big.
What bothered me is that it took him so long to traverse the webs as he was crawling across the web.
Like a rope.
Right. Yeah. And every time he touched the web, it made the sound effect of bells ringing. And there was just so much bells ringing the whole time that it just was giving me a headache.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Okay. I thought that's because I was practicing my maracas. What are those bell? The little hand bells?
The maracas are like the things with the beans and or something.
Yeah, the gourds that make.
Yeah, the gourds. Yeah.
I'm thinking it's like the Spanish dancing. Like
I know what you mean. Yeah, like those, I don't know what those are called.
Those little finger clicker.
Yeah, they're almost like little thumb symbols.
Yeah, like tiny thumb symbols. Yeah. That sounds about right. Anyway. Yeah, so there's this whole dramatic thing where the bell, and then he knows the name, and everybody else dies that goes there, but he knows the name, so he's going to go. And remember, this is like an older guy, and there's a lady in the middle of this cocoon thing, and he's like, all right, and suddenly this big giant spiders run around menacing, and then it gets closer to him, and it's white and freaky looking. Spiders are amazing, though, aren't they? What a terrific insect. One of my top 5 insects. And he's like, oh no, Lenoro or whatever. And then that pauses. Or the lady's able to she releases
She
perfume.
has the sands of time.
Oh yeah, she flips over
Hourglass.
Yeah, that's right. Releases perfume. I just made that up.
Wow, that's a little out there.
Well, if you could control a spider army, you'd want pheromones. Duh. Anyway, that buys him a little time, and he's able to hurry, and he gets into it and gets into her little apartment. So she's living in this tiny little apartment, really shitty. With no internet, terrible Wi-Fi.
She has the World Wide Web.
Nice, perfect. Okay, show's over. That's it. We're done. So it turns out she's like his ex-wife or some shit, right? Like they had a passionate love affair or something.
Yeah, they don't go deep into it, but apparently they know each other. He knows her name. Yeah. She knows him. She's like, it's been a long time.
Yeah. Ben Kenobi when he was a young man. That'd be a good Star Wars property where Ben Kenobi's out slinging dick.
The whole thing, he knew she was there all this time and he didn't raise an army to save her. What a jerk.
Yeah, your girlfriend's trapped in a spider castle.
It's like, hey,
go fucking rescue her, man.
How about you had a whole army of a kingdom that you could have, And now that you need her, so like, well, I guess I'll go see her.
And there's skeletons, or there's like a body, like a skeleton's trapped right near like, and those are all just her Grubhub delivery people.
Never had to tip them.
Never tipped. Oh no, I don't tip them. No, they just die just outside my door. So
I call that one chicken tikka masala.
Right. Like, shouldn't there just be like a bucket of shit that she uses? Like, where is she? How's she living in this?
What if she's throwing out her bucket of feces at the same time he jumps in and goes splashes him in the face?
Oh, sorry. Oh, it's you. Covered in shit. Shite. I mean, good English.
Do you have my egg rolls?
Yeah. Oh no, you forgot the Diet Coke. God damn it.
Suddenly she's British.
You know how hard it is to eat a burrito without a Diet Coke? Wasn't she British?
It sounded like there's a little hint of a British accent going on there.
Well, anybody in fantasy movies has to be British. It's jarring to have an American accent.
It's like anytime...
Hey, where's the Polish sausage?
I know, it's like...
Oh, my long lost love. Thanks for bringing me your presents here.
If you want someone to have like an air of authority or intelligence or mysticism or something, all you have to do is give them a British accent.
Right. Everybody in the past was just British.
And I know there's like 10,000 different types of British accents, but I'm talking about the one like the David Attenborough accent.
Right. Hello. Look at me.
Yeah.
Look at this bug. You know David Attenborough got stabbed in the eye when he was a kid?
I still feel bad about that.
Time traveler.
Yeah.
Some people go back and kill Hitler.
I'll go back and poke him with a stick.
Poke babies in the eyes. Okay, goddamn. Anyway, so she gives them the location of the thing. She knows where it's going to be somehow. I guess she's just okay with living in the spider apartment. But the problem is the rent is really high in that too. Because the landlord didn't tell her about the bug problem. Just so you know, I know it wasn't in the ad, but there's a pretty bad spider thing going on here.
Yeah, you're under a stay-at-home order now.
Yeah, and just as the landlord says that, the spider like his jaws go right through the guy's skull, like in Starship Troopers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So okay, it's just this like sort of mystical,
right?
80s sourcing from previous eras of fantasy and science fiction and storytelling. It kind of wants to be a lot, though. This movie really wants to be sci-fi. It really wants to be a medieval drama. It really wants to be because I don't know. It was a little jarring.
This movie is like it's like taking multiple elements from other movies and trying to imitate each element, but doing it very poorly.
Yeah.
And then
even like the swinging on a rope thing, like the swashbuckler, like which is also Star Wars, and
everything about it was like a low rent imitation of something else.
Kind of, yeah.
So he's in the middle of the spider web. He has to escape. He now has the knowledge of where this castle is going to be. He has to get it back to his people. And he's like, no problem, babe. Just flip that hourglass again. I'll go ahead and just be on my merry way. She's like, oh, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
The magic is used, but she has one final trick up her sleeve, which is she can sacrifice herself and sacrifice him by smashing the hourglass, putting the red sand in his hand. And as long as he can like slowly drip the sand out of his hand, he can keep the spider at bay.
Oh, yeah. God, man, you really paid attention. Yeah, that's right. So he's got to like get back with only one hand now, basically.
Yeah, so he escapes and he has the sand. But he looks back and the last thing he sees is the spider attacking the cocoon and killing her. Because that's what protected her as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, oh no, she's got my
he left his
RoboCop DVD.
Oh, I was gonna say Tamagotchi. He left that in the
what's Tamagotchi?
Those little electronic things you had to feed them and take them out for walks and.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I just think that was a little after my time when I was susceptible to stupid bullshit like that.
No, I never had one.
Yeah,
but,
I wasn't suggesting you were, but yeah. We all have a certain period of our life where we're like caught up in dumb cultural nonsense. Mm-hmm. Mine was depression. So she. By the way, I don't mean to imply depression is dumb cultural nonsense. I've suffered from it since I was a fucking
personally
kid. I'm an expert on the goddamn subject.
I had a pet rock, and when it got hit by a car, I was just inconsolable.
Yeah. And did you do the burial where you cover it with rocks and then you just lost track of it?
Yeah. I was like,
oh no, which one is it? He's with his family now. Yeah. Or she. So the he gets out of the spider thing, kills his girlfriend, or she sacrifices herself, and probably finally fucking grateful for this opportunity. You know, she's been sitting around with no TV to watch, just twiddling her thumbs on the World Wide Web. They end up finding out where the castle's going to be. It actually turns out to be in a beautiful glade.
Yeah, he drops down dead after he delivers the news because he lets the last grains fall out of his hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would have just like...
I thought it was just to keep the spider.
No, I would have like taken those last few grains and like duct taped them to my hand. It's like, well, they're not going anywhere.
I would have jammed them into my ear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stuff gets in your ear, it never comes out.
Yeah. Oh, and then we should also mention that before, right around this time, we hear a story about the Cyclops. And we find out that the Cyclops is an ancient being who sacrificed one of his eyes in exchange for the power of seeing the future. But the cruel twist of fate is that they can't see the future. All they can see is how they themselves are going to die.
Wow. Is that true of all Cyclops or just made up for this movie?
Anyone who loses an eye in real life, that happens to them.
A photojournalist was shot in the eye by a police bullet. She's blind in one eye now.
Well, that's not funny.
In the recent riots.
I can't make fun of that.
No, I'm not asking you to. I'm just saying, like, that sucks. And I'm not saying that because I'm thinking, hey, be sensitive to that. But I thought it could be funny if his other eye was on the back of his head, but just covered by hair.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine if you lose an eye, then suddenly your skull shifts and the remaining eye moves to the center of your head?
like a flounder.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, a central eye would be, I guess, probably better than one off center. If I were designing a robot, I wouldn't put the sensor on the side. I'd put it in the middle.
Yeah.
That's why R2-D2 spins around in a circle. So he doesn't have, Anyway. What a shitty robot. The fucking future, and they got this guy that can barely walk, C-3PO, and a thing that needs, it's a garbage can. Anyway.
That is true. C-3PO should have rollerblades.
Yeah. Or wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was built by a child.
Was he?
Yeah, Anakin as a child, he built him. Episode 1.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
That kind of explains why he's a crappy robot.
Well, he basically has the mobility of a toy, like a 70s toy, because they're almost like that movie's designed to sell merchandise.
No.
Okay, so they end up finding where the castle. Oh, then it's like, oh no, it's 1,000 leagues away. What are we gonna do? And they're like, well, fire mares. So they have to go get a bunch of horses.
Right.
And this sequence was really interesting and unnerving and fascinating, where they're chasing these horses into this like dead end, like a cul-de-sac of cliffs kind of. But then all the actors, and Liam Neeson is one of the outlaw guys. He and Hagrid are kind of like the two big beefy guys, because Liam Neeson's like 6'6" or something. And very young Liam Neeson, handsome as the day is long. They're grabbing onto these horses and like jumping on them and stuff, and it looks like they're just fucking around with horses. Horses are scary and dangerous. They're powerful beings.
Especially fire horses.
Fire horses, no less. And there's one shot, and I'm going to play the video, where Liam Neeson like smacks the shit out of one of them, and not in an intentionally mean way, I don't think. He looks like he's just kind of overstimulated maybe, but he sort of hits the horse on the side of the neck, what I think is kind of hard.
Yeah, you're supposed... I mean...
Because you're supposed to be gentle with horses.
It's normal to, like, pat a horse at the base of his neck.
Yeah.
But I think his instructions were a little messed up, and he went about half a foot up too high, and with about maybe twice as much force as he should have, and just smacks the crap out of it.
Like, behind its head, kind of like...
Yeah,
like
the horse was clearly not having it.
Yeah, the horse kind of, like startles, and these horses are in a film set, and they're around a bunch of other horses, and I'm sure it's not a common day for them, either.
And that was probably the 50th take, too.
Yeah, I mean, the horses have got to be on edge a little bit. I mean, anytime you're working with animals, you have like animal wranglers and people, and I think the insurance company would probably not have approved of that sequence, or at least the way they did it nowadays. Because I know they go to a lot of lengths to be safe and careful, not more now. And you still hear about accidents on film sets too. But yeah, they were just really rough with the horses. I thought it was just like the risk that they were taking with the actors, and in a way too, it's kind of like that. You know, maybe a little bit of that spirit's okay too. That kind of like, fuck it, let's just fuck around with the horses. Like, okay, all right, you know, take a risk. You'll be more than likely you'll be fine, but you're upping the chances that you might get kicked or someone else will get hurt or trampled. Horses. I worked at a horse barn. My first job, when I was 13 years old, for $20 a day, I mucked stalls and did odd jobs around a barn and this farm. And I very much I'm grateful for that whole experience. It was very formative to do that work. Even though I was getting ripped off. $20 a day for 8 hours. Give me a break, man. I don't care if it's the mid 90s when it was like 13 or whatever.
Did James Bond ever come and shoot at you?
Yeah, all the time. He'd crawl out of the horse's butt, shoot at me with a tiny gun.
You get why I say that?
No,
because you said you were doing odd jobs.
Oh, odd jobs. Yeah. You might say I was doing the man with the golden gun jobs.
you were working for $20 a day so you could feed your jaws.
Yes. You might say I had a golden eye.
When you turn 40, you're going to have your doctor introduce you to his Goldfinger.
Oh boy, I am 40 and I do.
Oh, you are 40 already?
Yeah, I need to go get my butthole checked for prostate.
Why is your wrist crystal not flashing?
It is. Oh my god. I just never look at it because I don't want to let go of all the sand in my hand. Yeah, I gotta get my butt looked. It's maybe I'll just let it kill me. Fucking get this shit over with. Honestly, what a nightmare being born. So what was this? Oh yeah, James Bond. We could do that all day. We're pros. We're pros, man. What are we talking? Oh, the horse thing. So the horse thing was funny, and then the horses fly across the country. They get to their next location in this like space or not space, flying through the air sequence with the shitty flames. There was one wide shot that was really good. I actually thought that like kind of looked cool because it wasn't overly crazy. It looked like the fires were really small and the smoke was coming up, but they were very far away. It actually looked like a pretty good effect, I thought. Yeah. They get to the castle. This is another part I remembered as a kid where they're like climbing up. They just abandon the horses right next to it. Like, they're running out of time. They know that it's about to warp away or whatever.
They're pinned down.
Oh yeah, they're being shot at. That's right.
They can't progress at all
with blaster rifles.
And then what happens?
Progress. Well, at the very last minute, the Cyclops. Wait, weren't they already buddies with him though?
Well, yeah, you see him in the distance coming behind them on his own flaming horse. And he's like, blah, 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 on the back of the horse.
The horse should have been riding him.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, that's right. That Cyclops gets
and he charges right up and takes like a laser blast to the shoulder. It doesn't phase him. He just keeps on going like, behind the Cyclops! Yeah. Charge!
So they charge upward and they find a hole or a door or an opening. The Cyclops is just like... So he runs up there, and like you said, which I think is a cool construct or whatever, that he knows how he's going to die. You know, so he knows the way he's going to die, and so he runs up there, and it's very much you can kind of see it coming, where the thing starts to close, and he's trying to hold this door open. He's big and strong, and they're finally getting their entry into the building. They're kind of running underneath him, and this stone door. Stone is very hard to drag along stone. I know that it's engineering, but come on. Is crushing him slowly, and he's holding the door.
Which is odd to me because you literally have Hagrid sitting right there, and you have this strong guy who's protected people, much like Hodor did in Lord of Thrones, Game of Thrones,
Lord of the Thrones.
And it almost seems as though the culmination of all the elements of this scene together may have been the genesis of Hodor, which could be ridiculous because someone could say, George R. R. Martin wrote it in 1967. It was before. To me, though, it seems like there's something there.
Even if it's just a cultural thread, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's any kind of direct. I don't think that I think the idea that a large man is holding a door either closed or open to protect his friends is particularly original. So like that's parallel thinking as far as I can tell. But
before they get through the door, though, Hagrid actually dies from a laser blast that misses him by about 10 feet.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, He's laying on the rocks. He's already wounded a little bit, and then a second laser hits like 10 feet to his left, and he just goes,
I missed that part. Okay.
And then they finally get inside.
He rides off on a motorcycle then.
Right, and then they finally get inside, and I'm worried. I'm like, wait a minute, doesn't Liam Neeson die and everything? And like 5 seconds later, Liam Neeson,
he's gone. Killed. I don't know, he gets stabbed or shot.
So Liam Neeson, Cyclops, and Hagrid all dead at this point. Well, but magical golden boy with his magical little spinning disc, he's fine.
Of course he's fine. And he's like, the Cyclops does all the work.
Everything.
He does. He saves their ass in every scenario.
He has infinite spears as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he throws his, but they did show him picking it up at least once. Yeah, they did show him picking it up, and there was no blood on it or anything. Come on. But yeah, so he gets smushed into a pancake. It'd be funny if they like pulled him out of the gap and he was like just a flattened.
I wanted to see like an early 80s special effect of his skull crushing and his eye popping out and rolling across, and then they carry it with him and they use his eye to see.
That's a good idea. A Cyclops eye? Yeah. That could be a valuable trinket. And anyway, they get into the castle. Then they go and they have a fight with the beast who for some reason is filmed with like distorted left and like up and down. So in video editing, you can keep your scale uniform, which means you can zoom in or zoom out the same as left and right as up and down, or you can horizontal or vertical is what it says, or you can turn off uniform scale and then you can control each separately. So this like they just took the horizontal scale and widened it. It just had this weird distorted thing, which
he's like this.
Were they covering for some mistake? But like it was really badly done. It was bad. I don't even know if green screen is the right word.
He's a man in a rubber suit who's filmed from a far distance away, who's like basically in a projection screen to make himself appear larger. And he's throwing his little disc at him, and he's shooting out like discs of energy from his mouth to block the attack.
So this is the big culmination, the boss fight. And all the Golden Boy does is throw his throwing star at it.
And eventually he manages
that thing does all the work. It just flies around and knows exactly where to go.
Right. And he just holds his hand out like this the whole time, like he's controlling it, but he's not really. And eventually it hits the thing in the chest and it goes down. But then it stands back up and he can't retrieve it from the corpse of the thing because, well, not corpse, it's not dead yet.
Yeah, whatever.
And it turns out the weapon was never really the thing that was going to save them to begin with. It was the power of love and marriage.
Oh, yeah. That's right. So they do get the princess out of her...
Yeah, so as part of the wedding ceremony, the line is like, take the flame from my hand and we will be united and all this crap. Mm-hmm. So he basically holds her hand and the power of love, and he's known her for 20 seconds. He's able to...
Yeah.
He's able to...
I've fallen in love quicker than 20 seconds.
He's able to shoot flames from his fingertips and very slowly burn this thing to death in its own castle.
Right. Yeah. So they just raid some dude's house and just torch him. But he did kidnap a woman, so I guess,
Yeah.
If you kidnap a woman, I'm going to punch you in the face. Right?
I mean, you could argue that she was better off there because he was kind of a creep.
The guy? The handsome man?
Yeah. He was egotistical. He's probably, probably an alcoholic too. I would imagine. Anyone who runs around in tights like that and thinks he's the greatest thing in the world, that's an abusive husband right there. It's like the high school football jock just in the making.
I wish the signature move of abusive husbands was that they wore tights. That would
you can spot him a mile away.
There he is. You can tell that guy's doing. Mm-hmm. The special effects were pretty lacking with the bad guy at the end.
I mean, the beast
and they don't explain any of the motivations. It's just like, I mean, you just know that the hero has to kill the guy, and you know he's going to because the prince needs to get the princess, and it was ridiculous. And she's the queen, though. She's like the powerful one.
She could have been the space queen.
Yeah, she could have gone up there.
Yeah, he stopped her. He prevented her from achieving her true potential.
Right. They could go back to planet Klingon and rule over with a mighty fist. But like it ends with them riding off into the sunset with like. And then she became the queen, and she chose her king, the Golden Boy, and they were like celebrating and happy. Like half your friends just died,
and your entire kingdom is dead. You're the last. He didn't even bother to say, by the way, your father, your mother, they're dead. Your entire kingdom, they're dead too. I'm just gonna omit that part. We'll just leave it as a surprise when you run back into your home and say, Mama, Papa, and their corpses are already being picked clean by ravens.
Yeah, now you're the king of the carry-ons.
Yes.
Carry-ons? Is that carry-on?
Yeah. That works. I like that.
It's not pronounced carry-on, though. It's carry-in. Carry-on is what
it's close enough.
That's luggage.
Yeah, it's what they charge you for at American Airlines.
Yeah. What if you brought a vulture as your carry-on?
Yeah, I've got one piece of carry-on. It's like a rotting steer.
What's your carry-in fee? No, I didn't say carry-on. I said carry-in.
So Krull is terrible.
Yeah. Did we look up the Rotten Tomatoes?
I did not.
All right, I'll do it. I'm going to guess. It's a beloved old movie, though. I think it's going to be... I think it's the kind of thing reviewers would be a little more generous and forgiving of. I'm going to say it's a 54%.
I was rooting for the hero to die from minute 5.
Okay. What's your score, though? What's your Rotten Tomatoes?
I would give it probably a 45.
I did the search wrong. I fucking... Hold on. Sorry, guys. I've never used this internet before. Rotten Krull. I like how it just fills in. Okay. 54. You said 45. Yeah. I'm saying... Well, 32%. Of the critics. 19 reviews. A lot of older movies don't have tons of reviews. And then 51% audience score. Because people are fucking idiots. Mm-hmm. So it was okay. It's a watchable movie in that, like, let's see how weird and goofy movies were in the 80s. And it could have been a lot worse, I would say, though. Like they could have just done the princess nonsense and the stupid. It could have been like the TV show Merlin, which I watched all 5 seasons. I'm so embarrassed. But all right, Krull. We're already at 2 hours or almost. Jesus Christ. So watch Krull, do drugs and watch Krull, get drunk, watch Krull.
That's the only way I get through it.
Have sex and watch Krull. The only way you can get through. Hey baby, you want to, have some, and then watch Krull.
Want to see my Cyclops?
Oh God. Want to see my one eye? That's the one place you don't want a second eye. Wouldn't that be
spoiler? It dies at the end.
Yeah. It likes scary caves. Okay, sorry. Man, this quarantine's made me so horny, which is weird because it's like I was horny before the quarantine. What is it about the pandemic? I think it's because fucking DNA. All right, let's talk about what's the next one. Lighthouse.
Speaking of euphemisms,
what fucking DNA?
What phallic
the lighthouse.
symbols?
Wait, what are you talking? The
lighthouse is the greatest phallic symbol you can possibly find.
Oh, I see. Yes, a cylindrical tube of a building that
shoots light out,
ejects DNA out
like all normal ones do.
Mm-hmm. Mine spins. I go to lay on the beach so that boats don't crash into the ocean.
Does it lift you off the ground like a helicopter?
Yeah. It starts wiggling around like those like plastic toy. You put like the long like zip tie in it and you yank on it.
Oh yeah, the ripcord thing.
Yeah, the ripcord things. Yeah, that's what happens. And then I flutter around, and that's what most of the UFO sightings are. There's a strange light in the air.
It's always above Chicago.
And I hear faintly, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Oh no, a shark. I think that's a shark. No, not a shark. That's not a shark. All right. Okay. Wow. We're doing a long one, I guess. If we were smart, we would do these as like separate videos.
Who
cares?
No one ever accused us of being smart.
Yeah, fuck it. I don't give a shit. It's so annoying. I can't. It's no wonder my career's stalling out. And I was a professional YouTube guy at the Young Turks. My whole job was clickbait and shit.
I was a ballerina.
You were a ballerina. Yeah. Okay. All right. Meaning I know better. Like I know what to do to like build a YouTube channel. I worked in but it's too fucking annoying, and I feel like such a sellout. I just like to talk and put it out there, and people listen, and we're grateful for people who do enjoy this stuff. Okay. Lighthouse came out a year or two ago.
2019, I believe.
So we're gonna spoil it, everybody, by the way, as you probably know. Willem Dafoe, which is an annoying name. Although I like the name. But Robert Pattinson, right? Mm-hmm. The guy from the vampire movies.
Right.
Wait, does he play
Twilight?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking werewolf. But there's also werewolves in Twilight.
Yeah. Team Jacob? Team Edward and Jacob, I think it was.
The attractive men from the...
Edward was the vampire. I think it was Jacob was the werewolf.
Yeah. I watched, I think, part of the first one after... Because that had its day already. Like, the Twilight series was... Yeah. Past, but certainly well past my time as far as when I would have ingested. But I did end up finally seeing. Not that I was like, oh, finally I can finally watch Twilight. But I had a chance. I was like, all right, fine, I'll just watch. It was like okay. I was like, okay, I get it. It's kind of stupid.
Authors typically don't have beef with one another, but Stephen King, who I've been reading my entire life, actually tweeted out around the time Twilight came out saying that Stephanie, who wrote it, Stephanie Myers or something like that.
I'll look it up.
But whoever she is, he tweeted out that she could not write her way out of a wet paper bag. Just basically calling her writing quality trash. Okay. And I thought that was awesome.
That he said that?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess he has earned the right to have a bit of a more of an expert opinion on writing, but it's subjective, and things that are commercially successful certainly doesn't necessarily mean that it's literature quality.
This movie actually freaked me out.
Stephanie Meyer.
Yeah, I got it almost. Yeah, I had an S. But yeah, she this
sold over 100 million copies.
Oh, wonderful.
Go ahead.
So, the thing I didn't like about this movie is that the movie is an art house movie. Mm-hmm. In the sense that it probably relies heavily on metaphors and symbolism, And there was a time in my life where I appreciated that kind of thing, where I could look at something and say, well, yes, the lighthouse represents isolation amid a sea, and the sea of the ocean represents rebirth and renewals. So we can see the soul of the protagonist is being tormented. I'm not into that anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, if I want a good story that's being told without me having to go through tomes of literature to find out what the true hidden message really is.
Right. Where you're pretending to, like, summoning some bullshit for some college course.
Pretentiousness does not resonate with me much at all today. Maybe because I'm getting older, I don't know, whatever. But the thing about this movie is that when I first started watching it, I started thinking it was a remake of another movie that came out in like 2017 or 2016 called Cold Skin. And it was almost a direct not shot by shot, but a direct plot line mirror of this movie up until a certain point.
Okay, so the basics are like two men are like Navy or military or some sort of government workers who are staffed to run a lighthouse. It requires maintenance. And so they're starting their shift of like, I think 2 months or 3 months. It's not even that long.
Yeah.
And it's a remote, craggly scrape of a piece of rock island, right? Yeah. I don't think are there any trees even. It's got some buildings. It's got the lighthouse, and like some like work sheds or something like that. I think there's like a well. It sort of has. It's been there a while. It's been a thing for quite a while. And so one's the older, scruffy, kind of like a Popeye's uncle. Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, the walking Popeye stereotype.
Yeah, he's like, and he's the crusty old sea captain who's got infinite confidence, and you can't question him, and he gives orders, and he's done this before. Yeah. And then there's Robert Pattinson. He did a good job, though. I thought his acting was good. Because, you're a little like, oh, this fucking pretty boy. And then he's like, okay, he's fine.
Yeah, this movie was just pain from start to finish. It was slow, it was boring, and it was just... The entire time, it was nothing but Willem Dafoe farting.
Yeah.
It was just... punctuated by moments of flatulence. And it's basically a movie about two men slowly losing their minds as they are trapped on this island together. That's my review of it right there. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
And then they get drunk. So yes. Okay.
There's really nothing more to say about it other than the fact that Willem Dafoe does not let Robert Pattinson go up to the top of the lighthouse. He has some sort of religious experience up there with the bulb, and there's like tentacles and stuff that he sees and weird jelly fluid dripping down from the top of it, which I imagine was a nightmare that he had that wasn't actually really happening.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to being a metaphor for Prometheus giving fire to the humans.
See, when you mentioned that at the end, you're like, oh, this is like that Prometheus, and I was like, I'm just not going to betray my ignorance. Like, I know that was a movie, and I know that
it's
Prometheus
like mythology
comes from a mythological character, but I wasn't familiar with any of the details. So what is
the story? Basically, I'm going to mangle a little bit, but Prometheus is a god who gives fire to mankind, and he's not supposed to do that. That kind of power is reserved for the gods. So the gods punish him by tying him to a rock and having a vulture eat his liver out while he's alive, and it just regrows every morning, and then every morning the vulture comes back and he eats it again.
I've heard of that.
And that's why the end of the movie is the way it is.
Which is what? He's
on the beach having a seagull eat his guts out.
Oh, he is. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So, okay. All right. Are they implying, too, that the next two guys that are going to come by will experience something similar? We've already...
Potentially, yeah.
Like it's a cycle. Oh,
yeah, it's just a...
Well, they set it up a little bit. It's filmed in square, by the way. I don't think it's 4:3. I'm pretty sure it's 1:1 aspect ratio. Yeah. And that's like that artsy decision. And you know what? I can be... I want to say forgiving as if I'm the arbiter of it, but like you can make different choices than what's standard, and you can pull it off. And I'm okay with some of that artsy shit, and I actually like it when there's layers. A little part of me wishes I had that background of like film snob knowledge, just so that I can contextualize it a little bit more. But because I often am aware of how ignorant I am of like film history and all that stuff. At the risk of people who only are able to speak in those languages and those terms, because I just kind of like to describe the way I analyze movies. It's more like, what was my emotional journey throughout this? Was I confused, and was I caught up in it? Basically, I'm simplistic.
Most of the movie, I couldn't even understand what Willem Dafoe was saying. It was like, and then like stomping around and singing and laughing and then collapsing together, and then having a touchy moment where it was like
the sensitive sensitive Popeye.
Yes, I don't know what's happening.
And that's where babies come from. And now grandma's with God. That's hilarious. Yeah, you sort of think like, okay, is this just going to be like, well, isolated men, they're going to go mad, there's some ethereal force here, visions from the ocean or the island itself, or some murder, some ghosts, some human tragedies from the past might be haunting this place, or some, like you're sort of wondering like, what are they going to do? And it is kind of that, I guess. Like, I mean, it does sort of escalate and spiral out of control. Like the young man, it's his first sign. And actually, I think he's an experienced sailor or something like that. But
he comes from a background of logging. He's tired of trees.
Oh, that's right. But
so he comes out.
But it's not like he's totally green as far as like doing work and like. Yeah. But he's also the subordinate to the Popeye's uncle.
Yeah, he said he was tired of the woods, and what he wanted to do was come out to a small island where he could hallucinate and then bang a mermaid.
So yeah, there's a mermaid thing. The mermaid, they do show the mermaid's vagina. Sorry, YouTube advertisers. And it is quite a vagina, man. I mean, it's like right on the front. It's like fucking, I mean, those it's not orient. I mean, I guess it's how fish are. They sort of just have. It's back there near their caudal peduncle. Mm-hmm. You know what a caudal peduncle is?
No.
Google caudal peduncle, and I'm not tricking you. It's an actual anatomy of fish. It's the meaty part of the tail before the tail itself, before like the fin. So it's back by the dorsal, like on the top would be the dorsal fin and the anterior fin. I don't know. I used to own an aquarium service, but
sounds like the Little Mermaid, Ariel.
Yeah,
Dinglehopper.
Yeah, Dinglehopper.
Yeah, she goes, I want to be where the people are. I want to see them dancing, walking around, and what do they call them? Feet up for their walk, if they play in the sun. I want to be part of their world. And then she has a fork that she brushes her hair with. And she goes, what is this? It's called a dinglehopper. She calls it that.
Oh, wow.
The song goes on much longer, though.
Keep going. Do you have the whole thing memorized? You can admit it. It's okay. I like this moment of vulnerability.
No. Yeah. Ariel is a classic movie. Little Mermaid.
Yeah, Little Mermaid. They should call it the Big Mermaid. And then she like gets diabetes or something.
That was Ursula.
Ursula. That's like the witch lady, right?
Yeah, the witch octopus.
Oh my god. Yeah. See, you're yeah, okay. I know of I know there's like a crab that sings or
Sebastian.
Something. Yeah. Anyway, so yes, mermaid. There is a great joke in a Futurama episode that I recall where Fry, the main guy, whatever, is getting it on with a mermaid. And you already know the joke is going because it's pretty cliche, but he's like, why can't this be like the other kind of mermaid with the fish part on top and the lady part on the bottom?
That would be so disturbing.
Because it is like, these are fish, man. They do most of their breeding on the outside. They don't have coitus. They don't do that. They have outputs. She comes up and she goes, lays all the little eggs, which we call roe for sushi. They're delicious, by the way. James, would you want to go get sushi with me and eat some fish eggs?
I would rather die.
they stain them different colors. There's green and yellow and orange, red.
Seafood is not my thing.
Red fish eggs? You don't want to go? I know you grew up near the ocean. You don't like seafood.
I hate seafood with a passion. That's
too bad. Good thing I've been sneaking a little fish in your burritos.
I would know.
What the fuck are we talking about? This has gone off the rails.
Banging mermaids on.
Then the
Lighthouse.
male comes by and spawns. So the movie Spawn is about how this works. Mm-hmm. The eggs are now unfertilized, but they're outside the body, and then the males come by and they go, whoa, and they make cloudy, milky.
It's called crop dusting.
Crop dusting. Mm-hmm. Yes, they crop dust the eggs, and then you get new eggs, new fish and new mermaids.
And then we order our computers from them.
Yes, Newegg.
There you go.
Newegg.com. It's actually don't buy your electronics on Amazon. I mean, actually, what I do is I check Amazon for reviews and stuff, and then I see if it's on Newegg for cheaper. But I still buy shit from Amazon because I'm, it's cheap. Whatever. What the fuck? Oh, yeah. So, he does like fantasize or he encounters a woman, a mermaid, very attractive, face. good looking mermaid, but she's got a mermaid body, and it's kind of graphic. It's like this, and he like bangs her sort of. She seems to want it. I mean, it's not like he rapes her, I don't think. But it's his fantasy. He has sex with her on her huge front vagina, which is just like the creature of the Black Lagoon's mouth, or like the predator's mouth, basically. Oof, boy, that's a visual. Oh, man. Without the helmet, I mean, you know. Okay, so these weird psychological things. There's one sequence where he's with a bird. Oh yeah, there's a thing where they say like a guy that used to live there lost an eye, and then he died, and then there's a bird with an eye missing.
And they say that the sea is bad luck to kill a seabird because seabirds encompass the souls of those sailors who are lost at sea.
Yeah, I had a bird poop on my back once, on my neck. I was reading a book at the Puget Sound in Seattle while I was crab fishing, and a fucking bird shit on my neck, and a little bit got on my book.
So a dead sailor crapped on you.
Yes, it was about 2 pounds of diarrhea, which if you don't picture that, it's a 2 liter of Pepsi.
You know what the gas translates to?
What?
I died on the Titanic.
Jack, Rose. That's my Titanic summary. Yes, my first thought when I got pooped on by the bird, I thought someone threw like crap at me. My brain went person, and then I like quickly was like, oh, fucking bird. Mm-hmm. So, plus my back was like to the ocean. It would have been really weird for a person to get that angle. Yeah. Why am I? Okay. So yeah, the Lighthouse was just kind of a mess. And then they start drinking a bunch. They have to share a room, which looks like a nightmare, like having 2 grown men. Like, you know, I could temporarily share.
They call it the fartatorium.
The fartatorium. I don't know. I mean, it's supposed to be these intriguing, complex, salt of the earth kind of character, or this old guy, Popeye's uncle. But it's just this annoying, farty, gross piece of shit, like the kind of dude that you'd be like, just because you're confident doesn't mean you're wise, you dumbass. Yeah. I think people, I hate that thing where they think old people are smart. No, they're just like not dead yet. You gain wisdom over time, but that's not everybody. That's definitely not everybody. There's plenty of dumb fucking old people out there. There's a lot of smart ones too.
If there was a prompt that came up in the middle of the movie that said, "In movie now, in exchange for a stab to the gut," I'd be like, well, I would have to seriously hover my cursor over yes.
Press button to activate the knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this has been a bit of a sloppy recap of it all, but
I don't think this movie deserves an eloquent recap.
Yeah, right. Like, listening to us be ramshackle about it is kind of what it's like watching the movie.
Do not watch this movie.
I would say watch it. I would say if you're curious, if you're picking, you know, that thing where you're just staring at these streaming services and you're like, yeah, Amazon doesn't, Netflix, I have nothing, I don't want to do that. Like, even though there's a lot of good stuff on most of them. But if you're kind of like, okay, well, I guess Lighthouse is available.
No, I went to film school studying pretentious movies, and this movie made me want to kill myself. Do not watch this movie.
Okay, one scene I was trying to talk about. The seagulls. So he is doing something outside.
That's the only entertaining part of the movie.
And I need to make an animation of this, like you suggested. And the bird, the one with the eye missing, right? So we were pretty sure this is the ghost of the previous human on the...
No, that was the Cyclops who got crushed in the door.
Oh, yeah, the Cyclops.
That was the Krull bird.
The bird knew how he was going to die, too.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the bird kind of comes by. I like it when birds visit. I think it's nice when birds are close to me. I've been near some birds. It's always a pleasant moment. And the bird is like, caw. What do birds say? What do those birds say?
Yeah.
And he lunges at it, grabs it, and then just starts beating it.
Think of Hulk with Loki.
Yeah, Hulk with Loki, where Hulk smash, and then he is just brutalizing this bird.
He is painting the well red with this bird.
Yeah, and
in black and white.
This eruption of violence and destruction, and it's really graphic. And it's sort of like that rake bit thing with Family Guy, or The Simpsons actually was the origin of the rake bit, but where they let the thing go on for a long time, where it becomes so ridiculous it's funny, and like it's just really jarring and nuts. And it's almost like him murder. I don't know. This is the film school part, but like, is he murdering the old past, or like he's losing his mind so much that he can't even the superstitions about the birds no longer has an effect.
It's like a rejection of all the teachings that the old man has given him casting aside everything and becoming his own self, taking control of his destiny, if you want to read into it in the pretentious way. Yes.
Sure. But it was so bizarre. Just like, what the fuck? And then they get back to farting and they start drinking. They wreck the place a bunch. They kind of bond. And by the way, I really do think it was only been like 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, we were laughing about it because they were losing their minds. They're like, how long have we been here? And when they said how long it was actually a shorter time span than we've been together in quarantine.
But
to be fair, you're not having to haul out my feces and put them into and put lye in it and all that kind of stuff.
That you know of.
You better not be stealing my feces.
No wonder my feces has been getting lower over the time. Isolation does weird things to people, no doubt. Remote things, people can go a little loopy. People we're genetically wired to experience life as a collective, meaning even just the notion of having human beings around to validate that what you're seeing is also what they're seeing.
I need to hide my Little Mermaid life-size pillow from you.
What do they call those girlfriend pillows? Waifus?
I do not have a waifu, by the way.
They're called waifus?
Yes, I believe they're called waifus.
Is that a Japanese term?
I don't know. I just know that they exist and people have them and it's a thing.
So, real quick explanation. These are 5 foot tall pillows.
Yes.
And they make custom pillowcases.
Yes, with like scantily clad cartoon anime women on them. Yeah. And some people form relationships with them to the point that they carry them into public with them. They sit them in chairs and have dinner with them in public. Yeah. And I don't like to think about it, but I assume that they also do perhaps other things with them.
Yes.
It's why they're able to stand on their own.
Oh boy. That was a paper mache joke.
Yes, paper mache. It's the metallic framing of them.
Okay, but it's
the tripod. Yes,
the metallic frame. It's important. Those are the proto Doloreses.
Yes,
it's important to understand these are not dolls that have like cutouts that are legs and arms and hips and waist and breasts and shoulders and a head, like a Hulk Hogan doll. These are square or rectangular pillows.
Yes.
So it's like a picture, T-shirt printed on a really long regular pillowcase.
Yes, with what appears to be a half-naked 12-year-old anime girl.
Those anime girls and anime sexualized girls and stuff. And that is crazy. I would do one with a grown-up woman, like a good horny 40-year-old, Mm-hmm. Some lady, some lynx in her late, getting into her prime, ready to, have it out before the wrinkles take over. Come on. Let's have it. I want to meet some older women, James. Divorcees and stuff. Stuck in quarantine, man. Those are creepy and weird. I don't know. How could you go in public with that? I couldn't even bang a pillow in my own privacy. I mean, I'd rather bang my hand.
My philosophy is that if somebody has something that makes them happy and doesn't hurt anyone else,
true,
then I have no right to criticize it.
Good point. Fair enough. Yes, I draw lines around where other people affect other people and hurt other people or whatever.
I don't understand it.
Yeah,
I don't like it. I feel uncomfortable around it, but I accept it.
If you want to take your pillow girlfriend to the IHOP and do whatever, go for it. Yeah, just don't bang her at the IHOP.
No, what would upset me is if I'm standing on a bus and don't have a place to sit because your waifu is taking up a place. I'm going to curb stomp your waifu if that happens. I'm sorry. I'm going to beat the stuffing out of her.
Well, unfortunately, pillows are pretty tough to defeat.
Yeah,
they do have a natural defense like Kirby. That's weird. It's just weird. I look at it and go, just boy, where did something? I mean, being a sexual animal, as all mammals are, but human beings particularly, we have instincts and drives and things. Again, there's always a range within any group of species of people, but like navigating those instincts is made more complicated by culture and by what you're taught as a child to feel shame about or to feel guilty about or to not. If you're lucky, you're not taught to feel a lot of shame or even any. But so it's understandable that there are somewhat warped diversions through a healthy sexual development to reach finally a point where you just respect and consent and say, okay, we're together. Let's do it. Let's have at it. my philosophy is whatever makes you feel good, let's go for it. And we'll, I'll get water for both of us when we're done. But somewhere along the line, though, is that you take those weird warpy diversion and you never get back on track. Not that there's only one right way, but like when you're starting to date a pillow with a drawing of an anime girl on it, I think it's okay to be like, ooh, somewhere there's something, not in a judgmental way, but more just trying to understand.
I mean, there are advantages too.
Yeah, sure.
You take them out to eat. They don't order that much because they're already stuffed.
I'll have the ball of cotton because I'm leaking, please. Wow. Like this pillow really looking out for her nutrition. Is there a female to like, do young girls get boy pillows? I mean, imagine it's happened.
I have seen.
But it's certainly probably weighted more towards the distorted male.
There are male waifus or wafus or however, I don't know how you say it, but they do exist.
Oh my God. This fucking world. What the fuck, man? Yeah. I mean, I guess it's simpler. Mm-hmm. Humans are complicated and, it's part of the fun of it, though.
Can you imagine
complex
staying at someone's house and there's a guest room and you're sleeping there and there's like this body pillow there and you're like asleep on it and they bust in. It's like, oh, where's my wife? And then you find out, you flip it over and it's really that. And
yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, you mean this really hard pillow?
Yeah.
That's your joke. God. Okay. So these guys are having sex with mermaids and there's even some homoerotic stuff in there too, where they kind of are bonding.
Oh yeah.
But that's not even, it was just more like either you guys, I wanted them to bang in a way. I was like, get to the fight. If you're going to do that, just fucking start banging. By the way, I don't know. It was just weird. It was a very strange movie. And of course it had massive Rotten Tomato scores. I don't remember. It's one of those movies that film critics love to get big boners for.
It annoys me when somebody watches a movie and they say, I didn't understand it, therefore it must be deep and intelligent, therefore it must be genius, therefore 98%.
Although I could honestly make that critique of David Lynch's.
Well, I was about to mention that because David Lynch is allowed to do this kind of crap because he has spent his entire life forming narratives around emotion. He doesn't try and make things make sense. He tries to instigate an emotion out of people. He feels a certain thing based on an idea and he wants to transcribe that feeling into you. Although there was a YouTube video I watched not too long ago, which was about 4 hours long, where a guy described exactly what all of Twin Peaks meant, and I think he's right.
Oh, you agreed, huh?
I think he's right.
Wow. Well, that calls out for 2 more hours of podcast. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I think of all the people in the world who get a pass on being pretentious, David Lynch is probably the one person.
Yeah.
It's just, it's his thing. Everyone knows that's his thing.
Right. I think David Lynch, I don't even know if I would use the word pretentious. I'm not like saying that to like say you shouldn't. Like my perception of it, and I've had a limited exposure. I haven't seen its entire canon. I don't know if I use that word correctly, but I've seen Twin Peaks season 3 with you, and you explained it so well as we did shot by shots for it. And I've seen, I think, 1 or 2 of other movies. So I really haven't seen much of his stuff. I think he's a genuine creative mind and a genuine art. I don't think it's bullshit. To what I learned from him as someone who is also made videos and directed stuff, and I'm not pursued a career anywhere near the same manner as David Lynch has. I've had a very strange, weird, winding road from comedy into news and politics, and still doing videos and whatever. And I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I've made thousands and thousands of videos, and often with deliberate creative itch scratching. And what I learned from David Lynch is don't be precious. Just do whatever the fuck you want. Like I overthink and I overplan and I overworry and I get in my own way and I think like, oh, that's not gonna make it. It's like he doesn't care. He has an impulse and he just does the minimum you need to convey that feeling or that emotion. And I think another part of his genius is that he doesn't hurry. If he was a fast editor, if you had quick cuts and if you had quick short scenes, you would be much more destabilized while watching it because I don't understand anything I'm watching David Lynch. You're the reason I have any comprehension whatsoever. But I think that because it takes his time and you sort of you get to sit with your confusion a little bit with it, that you kind of are able to the human mind is an imagination machine in terms of not like new imaginative ideas, but it fills in gaps. So you can read a book and you can experience an entire universe in your brain. That's that's what we call comprehension, but it's actually, it's imagination being provoked by another person's consciousness, which is to say that they wrote their consciousness into words, and now you're experiencing their consciousness via your imagination. Right? That's what reading is.
Sure.
So David Lynch is sort of offering the viewer a lot of opportunity to contribute to the narrative, or contribute to the world via their imagination in that sense. And it's almost like you're having to read kind of a slow build of a book to me. So I have a lot of respect for him, but I also, and I learned, and I still have yet to really apply it to my own efforts, but like, don't get in your own, like, just if you have a nutty impulse, follow it. Maybe it's good. Because I actually usually am pretty happy with what I put out. Like anybody doing creative work has their own sense of taste. And I think the more you do stuff, the closer the more able you are to approach the taste that you're trying to put into the thing you make. Right? I don't know.
Sure.
That's just one of the ways I look at it. I hope any of that made sense. I doubt it. But
more sense than Lighthouse.
I wish David Lynch would have people banging mermaids more and then murdering seagulls. So fascinating, though. Really interesting stuff. Rotten Tomatoes on Lighthouse. James, what's your guess? I know that I think
it's probably going to be like a 95, 96.
107. 90%. Audience score is 72. Whenever the audience score is lower, it's like a fucking pretentious bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why Transformers is 100 audience and
Critics
0
negative 4.
Transform. Fast and Furious is like one of those like this movie did not have like, but the audience is like, yeah, cars in the air.
I love the thought that when they were editing together the Transformers movie, the editors saw me.
What?
I was on set of Transformers.
You were?
I was.
Well,
I was standing 3 feet away from Michael Bay. He had his little lens finder fixed on me.
The first one?
I don't know which one it was, but it was one of them.
What were you doing on the set?
I was at work. I was going to get coffee, and then I got stuck in the CAA building, the agency building, where I was coming down the stairs, and Michael Bay was at the bottom of the stairs framing his shots. And I was trying to leave after getting coffee, but they closed down the set there, and I was seeing what's that guy, Shia LaBeouf running across. Yeah. I saw Michael Bay yelling at extras, and everyone seemed to be terrified of him. It was just the weirdest thing. It's like I was like, I need to get back to work. I got to go that way because you can't. Mr. Bay is shooting. It's like,
oh man,
oh my god,
wow. Yeah, it's weird to see movies being made. I've only seen them when they're in public. I've never been on.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like a line of people in suits, and he was walking up and down the line, looking at people and going, "I want you, and you. You go there. You act panicked. You run this way." It's like great direction.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird, isn't it? Like the whole thing, this whole apparatus of professions and skills and ambitions, and some are technical and some are creative, and there's actors and there's all the crew and all the other people, and all to serve this one like mini kingdom of the director. And that's okay. I'm not saying it's even bad, because directors are kind of like the king of the whole thing. So did you like his style, or did he seem like a complete piece of shit?
Seemed like a complete piece of what?
Yeah. S-I-S-H-I-T-E.
Yep.
Shite. Can you even say the British pronunciation? Say it with an accent. Shite.
Poo.
Poo. Where's me poo? That's fascinating. I've always imagined like being like a great director. It's like being a coach. Like I want to be. In my brain, I like when they started filming Lord of the Rings. I saw some background stuff of Stephen. What's the guy's name? The fucking main
Dorff.
Guy? Not Stephen Dorff. Isn't that the dude that does golfing with on his knees? Dorff.
No, it's a different guy. But
who made Lord of the Rings?
Peter Jackson.
Yeah,
I mean,
Stephen
like,
was in
that
brain.
one scene of like with all the like charging up to Minas Tirith and stuff.
Yeah,
I was just getting coffee walking through that field.
Yeah,
and they caught me too, so you might see me there.
Yeah, no, I remember you. You get impaled on Gandalf's horse.
Yeah, I was like, you guys don't have a permit. I was trying to stop them, and then I just get run over by Shadowfax.
Who is the Shadow James? Why is Shadowfax? It was Peter Jackson giving like a pre-speech, basically right before everybody got into New Zealand. It was like their first day on set, and he's like giving like a big speech. And I just want to give that speech. I want to be like a director who's like, all right, guys, just want you to know I'm probably going to be a bit of an asshole.
Yes. There will come a day
we're all here because we believe in each other. We're going to look out for each other. What did you say? I'm sorry.
Those were with the guy. There will come a day where shields will be splintered and spears will be broken, but it is not that day. Today we ride for Rohan or something stupid like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the kind of speech I want to give.
That would be fun.
In an inappropriate moment.
Yeah.
Where we're like, all we're trying to do is figure out who wants their pizza order, where we're going to get it, and who's going to pick it up from the guy at the front of the building.
We're going to ride to the pizza guy.
There will come a day where pepperoni will be flump. I don't know.
I hear you.
I got nothing.
No, you're doing great. This is good. We were over 2 hours, so this is a nice long one. Anyway, I think there's a lot to learn from watching all this stuff, and it's interesting and enjoyable. The few things that I've done where I was kind of calling the shots, I really like that. It's kind of cool. I'm not the power trip of it, but like it's rewarding, and I've done very little of that. Anyway, like halftime speech when your team's down by 14 at halftime, and you got to get out there and stand on a Gatorade bottle and be like, "Hey, motherfuckers, everybody, get out there and fucking, I'm gonna kill you if you don't do better, pieces of shit, you fucking losers." You're going to go to the military if you don't win this game.
And that's why you were never a Little League coach again.
And that's why I'm banned from being within 500 miles of a child. Mm. So, cool. Lighthouse, garbage. Krull, weird garbage, but kind of a cultural artifact of some kind in a way. I don't know. Not that important. Vast of Night. Remember, no spoilers because we offered to not spoil for anybody. Mm-hmm. But Vast of Night, give it a look. Please watch it. Please. That's a weird way to suggest watching something.
It's free if you have Prime.
Oh, yeah. It's free?
Yeah.
All right. Free on Amazon. So
Krull is not, though, oddly enough.
James paid for Krull.
$4.
You're on a list now somewhere.
Yeah.
Great. Good stuff. Thanks for watching, James. Thanks for listening, everybody, and being commenting and stuff. And thanks for all the great things and nice things y'all said about Westworld. I haven't thought about Westworld since I hit publish on the last video that I posted because that season was fucking garbage.
Finally, good to hear you say that.
It was just such boilerplate sci-fi nonsense, but it was just like, okay, who's who? What's the conscience? I can't tell.
It just did not have.
And season 4 is renewed.
Oh, great! So they have another shot. We'll see.
Yeah, they're gonna blow it. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much. Stay safe in the world. You know, we all got to pull together, right? Interrogate why things are the way they are. Maybe do that on a personal level, do it on a societal level. We're all subject to influences we might not be aware of. And it's important sometimes to take stock of that and say, maybe we should, work together to make the world better. It's possible. It's got to quit putting the wrong fucking people in charge. All of them are bad, not just the Republicans. It's also the Democrats. It's the whole fucking system is just full of... Okay.
It's like Justin Trudeau. I know it.
Justin Trudeau. There's a seagull out there that's wearing blackface.
Oh my God. I forgot he did that.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody. See you. Good night. Bye.